He saves Bash and has on LOS. I mean, GG's shy. GG's shy. Check this out, y'all. Get her rolled. Last thing I'll say, just so we're very clear about this, I don't want to have to discuss this anymore. I was pulling for Majid. I was pulling for KSA because I have worked with Majid before many times. I've been friends with the guy for a long time. Very proud of what he's done in Overwatch League. Good friend. I've not worked with any of the Chinese players. I understand that there is a lot of complicated feelings about the KSA, specifically the fans. And I agree that the fans were cringe. Some of the things that Yazan was either encouraging or indirectly supporting, such as the harassment of Cloudy, who I was in a call with, was really just shameful. For not a good look for, not for Saudi, nor for the Saudi players. Those guys had nothing to do with it, but for the Saudi fans. We're not going to have any conversation about that. I was glad that KSA won, was pulling for them in the finals. I was glad the players won. I feel good for the Saudi Arabian fans that were watching. I did not feel good for the Saudi Arabian fans that were on Twitter. Let's put it that wrong. Who do I have as World Cup MVP in this game? I don't think anybody from KSA really deserves it, to my opinion. I think Quartz could have played better, to be honest. I actually had higher expectations from Quartz. I think if I would have to go outside of this group, I think Gushui probably deserved a good shout. I think Langsa also at least initially seemed to have a decent game, a decent series. And I think really Vistola probably played the best overall. I think Vistola played really, really quite well. So yeah, I think you got to give respect to KSA for the win. I was very glad that they won. I felt very proud of Majid. I've also had the opportunity to work briefly with both Quartz, UB, and even a little bit of KSA a long, long, long time ago. And they're great players. So I was very happy for them as well. I think Majid did a fine job, but yeah, I still think Vistola gets it for me. I mean, yeah, kind of hard to say. It's easy to say that China got a little bit unlucky. I mean, I think if you were an Overwatch League team, which team would you rather sign? Like, I think it's pretty clear that it would be Team China, right? But today, KSA were the better team. And I think that like even blaming the meta is kind of unfair because I don't even think Bastion had as much of an impact in the meta right now. And if you look at a lot of the characters that KSA were playing, you know, Mei, Sojourn, things like that, I mean, Bastion definitely helped KSA, but I don't think it was like the defining factor necessarily. So yeah, I mean, again, yes. Shy is Shy, Leave. These guys are goats of Overwatch. Gushui as well, Monk as well. I mean, these are all phenomenal players. Like, let's not pretend, guys. Like, I think they are way, but for today, KSA, and they also made a very good argument for these guys being Overwatch League caliber. Let's put it that way. Certainly, Quartz, KSA, obviously Magic we know already. Certainly those two in particular. And I also was impressed with Haku, who's a well-known Mercy OTP, who actually put out a pretty halfway decent Lucio performance as well. The guy's been grinding for sure. No, there is no World Cup replay viewer. The OWL replay viewer is still functional for whatever reason, but it doesn't have the World Cup replays.
Probably going to see him pick up the Lucio. It's time BlizzCon to crown our 2023 Overwatch World Cup champion.
Yeah, KSA was OWL forever ago, but I think that he's very clearly still OWL caliber on the characters that are relevant for Overwatch League. So let's talk about the matchup here. This is an anti-spam dive comp where you play Ana, Genji, and Sojourn because they can take really, really good angles versus Bastion, versus Sigma, versus Baptiste, and Threaten. You also have a sick ultimate combo. The Doomfist is the best dive tank, in my opinion, versus spam comps because he's got a great answer for Bastion. He's not fragile versus anything thrown their way outside of Hinder, potentially, but even that can be a little bit tricky. But yeah, he is Bastion, Mei, Sigma. Doomfist is pretty good. If you struggle versus Bastion as a Doomfist in ranked, it's a skill issue. I talked about this last week. With his power block, his power punch, his frequently available mobility, and even his ultimate, he has a lot of tools to deal with Bastion comps. So it's also something that Gushui is really strong at. So it's a pretty easy choice. In addition to that, I think the Brig is by far the most interesting choice. Now, I have been a very vocal hater of the Brig versus these brawl matchups. I think Brig has to play so careful, so slow. But if you have a really good Brig and you have the perfect positional awareness to know when you can play aggressive, when you cannot, and you don't play aggressive necessarily on the front line all the time, you can make Brig work. Lengsa played really well on Brig throughout the entire day. I think did a great job pocketing both of the DPS, and is definitely more of a comfort character than something like a Kiriko. I think Rally is also really a strong ultimate. And when things go down into a Sigma mirror or a Sigma matchup, Brig does very well versus Sigma compared to other tanks. So I don't like the Brig into Orisa. I don't like the Brig into the Rhine, but I do like the Brig into the Sigma, and the way that Lengsa was playing it was way better than, say, Violet with Houston Outlaws this past Overwatch League Grand Finals. I think Violet was a huge liability. Lengsa played it way better, way better, and it also makes a lot more sense with the hero pools. Okay. Now, this is an anti-dive comp, to be very clear. This is an attempt to think that they're going to roll out on something like this. Everybody knew that China was going to roll out on this, and they're going to try and big brand them. They're going to go anti-dive with the Queen for defensive shout. Also, maybe a knife punish on to the Doomfist. The Sigma doesn't really have a whole lot to shoot when they're playing Doomfist. You can shield off the Ana, but it's tricky. And Yubi, basically, this is just a TP option, can either TP the team onto the backline, or Yubi himself can TP solo and look for angles to deny the DPS. Mei would also be okay here, but Yubi will prefer the Symmetra. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think this is one of the weaknesses of KSA. I think Yubi struggled to find solo Symmetra value. I think it's very tricky to get good Symmetra value versus Doomfist consistently. I think it's really easy to punch you out of your teleporter so you can't teleport back and forth. And I also think Yubi was not playing it particularly well throughout the series. I think Yubi needs to find more solo angles. If you guys have ever played a GM or top 500 Symmetra OTP, you know how creative they can get with their solo plays. I think KSA would have benefited a lot more with more solo or duo proactivity with how they set up their off angles and flanks. I just don't think TPing as a unit will almost ever work in the situation. Okay. How's the volume, guys? Can you hear it? Should just be able to hear it just a little bit.
What's that? Make an about face happen. KSA on the Junker Queen here and a Cassidy for quartz.
It's good? Okay. I just want to be very quiet, but not totally inaudible. Okay, so big thing here is that KSA is super stacked. I don't like this. Of course I don't like this. That's my job. I would love for an off angle from either Symmetra and Lucio, or both, really, over here. Really, Symmetra and Lucio, probably both, or Cassidy Lucio on an angle here, and try to either deny staging or poke out while they're doing that here. Now, I think Cassidy stacking with BAP so that the threat of Magnetic Grenade can kind of help keep your BAP alive is totally reasonable. Your BAP could be kind of cooked, what is it? Chopped liver? Yeah, chopped liver. If you split too far. But I think that this is already a bad sign for KSA. You see they're slowly getting off-angled. Brig has dropped to help the Genji. You see the space control here? Like you have Ana over here. Where is the Ana, actually? Yeah, Ana's over here. Doom here. Brig here. I don't even know where Sojourn is. I think Ana and Sojourn are grouped up here. Doomfist is here. Brig is here controlling space to where she can pack her Ana and pack the Genji at the same time. It's like, and then Genji over here on the off-angle pressuring point and also off-angle life. Like, this is China just knows what they're doing, man. They just know what they're doing. They know how to play versus these comps. And then they TP on Monk 3-2-1 rush. But Monk's going to get double packed. Monk is then going to nade. Gushui is going to come in and punch these guys backwards. And the Sojourn's just going to slide away. They're going to disrupt her shot. I just don't think, especially without like a Mei wall, without a Rhine shield, this just shouldn't work. If you're going to play Symmetra in this composition, she needs to play something like solo DPS angle, pressure the Genji out, pressure the Sojourn out. You just can't group up and TP against a team that knows what they're doing. And there it is. Like that's the engage is totally shut down. The nade is massive. The point is flipped. And now you're like, oh, now all KSA has done is they flipped the map, but the point's still ticking. Like all China has to do is reset up on a different off angle, reset up around point. And Gushui just goes for a cycle, go for cycle, over and over and over again. He already has ultimate. Now he has fed BAP window, but again, you see how grouped up KSA is? It's just, you're just not going to make it work. And this is where I think experience versus dive is just something that KSA isn't good at. I think this is something that London is always been historically really good at, going even into last season, or season before last, where London playing these compositions is way better at taking splits, way better at quickly making like solo TP plays, May flanks, Backbone on the angle, Admiral with going with Sparker on the Symmetra. Like you need that kind of creativity and confidence, and that's just something that KSA just did not have. It is a tough matchup, but I just think that like KSA's comp may be a little bit suspicious. And definitely if that's how you're going to play it, there's no way that you're going to win. And I think watching this, I was like, oh crap. If KSA tries to make this work, they're going to lose this. It's going to be a 3-0. That's the problem, right? Is everyone's grouped up on the window, and all China has to do is just hide. Leave egos a little here. Tries to not use his deflect and just gets one shot. But even then, it doesn't matter, right? So it's like he's going to come back fast. There's the TP, there's the sim wall. They're all going to rush to point. They will get point, but China just disengages. And now they're going to start setting up their off angles again. And then now you got to worry about the old economy. I think the tough thing with dive is you cannot lose neutrals to dive. You have to lose the ult combos because China's ult economy is unbelievable. Sojourner, Doom, Rally, Nanoblade, and there it is, right? Nanoblade, and it doesn't matter. Because you're thinking like, oh, didn't they have beat? Well, first off, they didn't have beat in time, but then also people are still isolated because everyone's peeling off the Nanoblade, and so then somebody's isolated and then they die. And then they also commit Sojourner, which is maybe a little bit unnecessary, but yeah, it's just GG's. And again, do you notice how KSA has spent this entire time trying to react? But you can't react, you can't play slow if you're not controlling space. If you're grouped up, but you move quickly, you sometimes can get away with being grouped up, not controlling angles. But you cannot play slow grouped up. You cannot, because you're going to slowly lose HP. You're going to slowly give up off angles. And oh my gosh, guys. You want to guess where Monk was? You guys want to guess where Monk was for that 4-man or 5-man nade? They'll show it, I believe, after this. There's the BAP window. Haku's isolated again. They're just pulling them apart at the seams. I think they show the Monk nade here. Let's see if they show it. Yeah, check this out, y'all. Angles, ladies and gentlemen. Angles, flanks and angles, flanks and angles. Perfect timing as well. Look at this. Doomfist goes in first, then the nade, then the punch. They can't focus the Ana. They don't even know. They don't have time to react. They have to focus the Doomfist, but at that point, it's already too late. Do you think KSA should have been more proactive? I think KSA needed to do one of two things. They either need to take tempo, and actually, I hate to use the term fast versus slow, but they needed to like push and TP, or you spread. You send your Sim Lucy over here. You put your Junker Queen by herself here, controlling an angle, and then you have like your BAP Cassidy together, and you poke out, and you squeeze out the dive comp, because the dive comp needs those angles to get on top of you. The Doomfist can engage from pretty far away, but the Genji cannot. The Sojourn cannot. The Brigitte cannot. The only thing that can really get you from an angle, from far away, is like a Doomfist engage, which usually requires at least one cooldown, if not two, which makes it higher risk for him, and on a nade. But you significantly cut down on the amount of risk by splitting up a little bit more. On old economy, no, I have not. So this is KSA just total masterclass of dive. KSA looks, China did. KSA looks totally lost here. Now, this is when they're going to go back to some of the basics. This is definitely a composition where Quartz can take more aggressive positions than a Cassidy can because he has a slide. He takes a little bit of time to build that value, but he can take more aggressive off angles. And I think the same thing applies to May as well. So the weakness of the Symmetra is that it is a little bit scary to take off angles versus a Doomfist because your defensive cooldown, your teleport, is something that you can get punched out of. Like you get dove, you TP, but you don't get it in time before the Doomfist either kills you or punches you out. So May doesn't have that problem. They can just ice block. And so basically what you want to see here is the exact same playstyle from KSA. It's the same exact playstyle. The heroes have changed. the answer is not different. The only thing that they've really lost is they've lost the initial CC punish on Doomfist, right, with the hinder, which is more of a skill shot, right? That's more of a Gushui makes a mistake and dies for it. Gushui's not making mistakes. Or your TP onto the backline, which, as we already saw, isn't really a win condition in of itself. So they've lost two things that didn't really matter, which was hinder and TP. Mei is going to do a better job controlling off angles without the help of a Symmetra, and Sojourn is going to be able to do more damage without having to worry about being dove like the Cassidy. She also has a much better ultimate. So this composition does everything that they did earlier, but does it better. Even the Junker Queen is, Sigma's a better version of Junker Queen, at least versus this variation of Dive, because you don't want to be grouping up all together with your team and shouting them versus Dive against this level of Dive. Because if you're all grouped up, you're going to die anyway. So you can't shout a 4-man anti-nade generally. So what the Sigma is going to do is he's going to play a little bit more self-sufficient and be able to hold space without getting poked out like the Junker Queen. What's up, Stefano? So on a Brig on the high ground. Group up, rotation here. And then you're going to start to slowly push out a little bit. Sojourn on the angle, Genji on the angle, Doomfist on an angle of his own. Sojourn, Quartz is already starting to split. And they're trying to poke out at Shy. And we could have a bit of a stalemate here. And there it is, right? Now, look at the positioning here from China. Shy, like if I were to draw like a circle here, you've got Ana Brig up here. You have Doomfist here. You have Shy here, and you have Genji here. And you have little KSA only here. I would want, I'm telling you, if this was Backbone or Sparker, Yubi would have gone this way towards Shy with Maywall Ice Block and probably Lucio speed. And they would have either tried to push Leave out to go back to his team, or they would get Shy off of this off angle, because Shy is farming rail from holding this angle over here. He can't be allowed to stay. He would be isolated. Doesn't matter. If you're forced, let's put it this way. You're not isolated if you're going with your Lucio and attacking what would be diving you. What would dive a Mei Lucio on the flank if you push out the Genji first? What would dive you? The Doomfist? Doomfist by himself is not going to kill a Lucio Mei. No way. And if you're forcing the Sojourner out at the same time, then she's not going to dive you either. You guys have this misconception that you can't be isolated versus dive. You can't be isolated versus dive once they've set up. But if they can't set up, or you're pushing that set up, then you absolutely can be isolated versus dive. It's a total misconception. It's not a stupid misconception at all. It's just something that's been misconception for a long time. And you see right here, check out Lengsa, ladies and gentlemen. Lengsa actually playing the Brig the way she needs to be played. As soon as Monk is established on high ground, look at freaking Lengsa, guys. Lengsa is doing what Violet generally does in Kiriko, and they're pushing 2-man on the angle, while Shy is pushing here and Doomfist is pushing here. This is what you have to do as Brig into the brawl comps. And Lengsa is a better Brig, I think, than Violet. And that's it right there. Lengsa's just going swinging in, Doomfist up front. The only problem is Lengsa overextends. I'm actually curious why. I love that I caster jinxed it. It's actually the proper play. The only problem here is that I think Lengsa goes in too far. It's hard to see. He's definitely too far in. He needs to push, and then hold, push, and then hold, and then try to sync up with Gushui. It's the correct play. Just I don't know if it's executed very well. Yo, Sunshine Bread! Thank you for the raid! We're looking at the World Cup thing. We're looking at Links on the flank Brig. I appreciate the raid, mate. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, I think it was it was the right play, just poorly timed. And well done by KSA to punish. Oof. Bakora, thank you for the sub, mate. I appreciate it. 1 billion raid. Yeah, I can't believe it, y'all. It's the biggest raid I've ever received. 6 billion people. That's unreal. Thank you so much. So, devolved fight. The point is still not capped, by the way. Because China's lost some folks, they've lost some angles. Leave is trying to retake this left angle, and you're going to notice that Sojourn and Ana and Brig are going to rotate to clear that angle too. Gushui goes in deep, little bit early, but they hit the nade off of it, and he's got ultimate. There's Sojourn slide. There's the ultimate launched. He's just going to go back to his team. The good news is that they've established Sojourn here. They've established the Sojourn on the right. There's the BAP window. Woo! This is just mechanics. This is mechanics, and also the Brig being a little bit slow. So I actually think Lynx is mispositioned here. I would prefer. So you're going to notice Lynxa, unlucky 2, thank you for the sub. So you're going to notice Lynxa is here. And this is where like mid-fight Lynxa kind of wants to swing on the Sigma. I would prefer Lynxa to not worry as much with the Sigma, especially mid-fight. Yo, thank you for the gifted sub. I appreciate it. Varashi, I appreciate it. I would prefer Lynxa to, especially here, to split off right. And I guess there's, like I said, stalling point, but like I really want Shy to have more help over here. I want Shy to have a pack. I want Shy to have my children. I want Shy to just have a little bit more support on this angle so that he's able to win this duel. Because this is a great shot from Quartz, but it's just a body shot. So Brig gets caught on main and then has to kite out on main because of the BAP window. And so what should have happened instead is kiting out to the angle. So that would have saved this fight. And then unfortunately the nano comes with Gushui on the way out and then the points flip. So it is tricky with Brig here because if you are on the angle, you are so far from being able to proc your Inspire. So that is one downside. But if nothing else, Lynxa needs to keep his eyes on the periphery more. Lynxa plays bodyguard for Shy to get over. Like, right. So that's really important. Like, Brig plays the bodyguard for the DPS that are on and off angle, like a Mercy pocket. But the difference between Brig and a Mercy is Briggs can actually physically hold a space and be impermeable. Like, you cannot clear a Brig. It's the hardest support in the world. Like, the pocket. And if you allow her to play in close range, she's really good. So there's an Nanoblade. It's a huge teleport. There's a Flux. It's bashed out or punched out of the Flux, I believe. I can't quite tell. It might have been, I honestly can't quite tell. You can't see it through the wall. But one of either punched out or bashed out of Flux. And the good news for KSA is that, like, this is the entire old bank from China, right? What happens to Quartz here? Does Quartz get isolated? Yeah, Quartz gets isolated, and Quartz gets isolated with no support. No BAP support, no Lucio support, and that's why he's going to die. He also does not have his slide either, crucially. He slid to that angle and then get caught without his cooldown. It's not bad to take an angle, you just can't take an angle with a cooldown and expect to live without support. So the good news for KSA, though, is that was Nano, it was Blade, it was Rally, it was Sojournal, and while it did cost you a lot of your ultimates as well, generally the ult bank will always favor the dive team. Right. Brig is just an anchor. Like, you find the most powerful position, like the most powerful off angle, and unless the enemy tank clears you out, you're hard to clear out. Thank you for the gifted sub, Stefano. I appreciate it. Bork, Borf. Whatty, Titan, Spitfire 6, and Jolty. Congratulations. I appreciate it. It's done too? Okay, good enough. Good to know. So then, KSA has to win a neutral here, which means you need to take an angle. KSA needs to hit a rock. Force needs to hit a shot. It's the more likely thing. So there's a teleport. Now, it's interesting to me that they swapped to Symmetra. Again, I think this is where you're playing more for the teleport. Now, there's one thing that teleport can do. We talk about teleport one-dimensionally, teleporting on backline and killing backline. That it can do. But it can also, remember when we were drawing the circle earlier and we were like, yo, China's over here and they're over here and they're over here and they're over here, you know, and we're poor little pathetic pipsqueaks over here, right? Well, you don't have to teleport in the back line because that still puts you in the middle things. What you can do is you can teleport on Shy in the off angle. And then not only do you have a chance of killing Shy, but you force Shy to rotate this way. And here's the thing, chat. If we can draw a nice thin little box around all of China's off angles, especially when we send Shy back to the gulag, back to his backline, then really all of our threats are in front of us. When you're playing this composition, whether it's with the Ryan, Sig, Junker King, whatever, and you have all of your dive threats in front of your screen, and none of them are here, and none of them are here, you are at an advantage. And so you can use your teleport, not necessarily to teleport on top of someone and kill them. You can teleport to clear one of those lanes. Or you could teleport and do something like this. TP, panic, and you actually make it so that you notice that they're not getting off-angled here because they're all running for their lives. Much better than Mei versus Scrims. I believe it. It's through stuff like this. The sim value, the Mei value has to be done. So I also think that it comes down to how you play it as well. I think if you play the Symmetra and you teleport well, there's value to be found there. I think if you play solo angles, I think the Mei gets a lot more value. And so far from watching Yubi's Mei, I don't think he knows how to play Mei like that. And I think that's hurting him. I think if he had backbone on Mei, maybe a different story. Maybe a different story. I think Sim might still be better. Maybe not after the 25 HP nerf, but a different story. I think the play style demanded is tricky. You know, like you need to know how to play it. Now China is still, Monk with the nano dies. I forgot about this. He's getting off-angled from, and he's being forced to rotate, and he ends up dying in the rotation. Huge play from KSA. They TP, they clear the off-angles, they cause chaos, and in that chaos, they're able to pick people off. Do you think if China had coaching, they could have won? I doubt the coaching has much of an impact at all, to be honest. Probably a very minor impact for most of these teams. There's not enough time. These players are either going to be good or they're going to be bad. I think with the amount of time they have to coach. I think it has a small impact, but I don't think, maybe, sure. They go Winston because this is basically a situation where they know KSA will not want to swap the Bastion. So I think Winston can do quite well. Also helps that when you start with a Nano, Winston does really well with Nano. I mean, look at the value, right? All the CDs forced and a lot of ult charge built. Again, it's hard to look at that as like indirect value, but KSA should have died there. KSAA should have died there. My only thing that I would say is I might have liked to have seen a better setup off of this Nano engage. You see Leave is a little far. I think there's an opportunity, a real opportunity here to force that kill. And then what happens here, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know what happens here. Oh, Shy just gets smoked. Where is Shy? Shy is off on front of our screen. Yeah, Shy just gets railed. That's it. Mechanics. Rally push. But Winston's the timing just isn't there from China, right? So, like, look at the rally push. Langsa pushes with rally as Gushui jumps out. Rough. So KSA gets so low. So low. If there had just been a little bit of a better timing off of that push, even the nade comes in after, right? So China's all over the place. Winston's in first, and then Winston's out, and then Briggs in, and then Briggs out, and then the nade comes in. It's just a total desync. A total desync. Beat perfect. He uses it just to force the Genji out. The only problem is where KSA is fighting is it's really easy to get pincered. You see how they're getting surrounded, right? So I think, yeah, I remember this. This is why this fight felt so rough. It's just how tight the area was where KSA was fighting. I think the key thing where KSA needed, at this advantage right here, they need to walk forward. I don't even think chasing the Genji here was the play. I think you need to walk on the point, push the Winston, push the Ana, push the Brig, get out of this area where you're getting pincered from behind. Like, you just look, they're just getting off-angled from 3 different areas, even the Genji from high ground here. And also, when you have Leave, you just never know when it's going to happen, right? Like, Quartz just wins them that fight, at least at the start, by hitting a rail, just because Quartz is really good at Sojourn. Leave is just a really good character. He's just a really good character, guys. Really good character. He's just a really good player. Yeah, it's a communicational breakdown from China. They really mess up that neutral. That should have been an easy win, because there was basically an ultless fight for KSA. Good angle from Shy here again. I don't know where Langsa is. I think Langsa's playing closer to Ana now because of the threat of the teleporter, right? So He wants to be able to pack the Ana. Case in point right there. Again, the teleporter is able to catch the Ana break. I think this is, again, a positioning mistake from Monk. Diabolical, thank you for the sub. I just think as soon as the teleporter goes on the field, it becomes more important for Monk to preserve his own life and not to give a good teleport target. I do not like where Monk is positioned right now. He needs to go back to the initial starting high ground where he was in the first place, where his kite location and even the distance is a lot better for him to play. I think this is a huge positioning mistake from Monk. He really should not be here. And this gives so much value. Like, it should never be that easy to just teleport and kill. Gushui is able to kill Majid. I don't know if that's a mistake from Majid. Let's see. I don't know if he had regenerative burst. He should have had regenerative burst right there. So I think Majid must have misused his shift. Huge window value, though. It's going to melt Gushui. Big nade. Wow. But ultimately, China just has more ults. That's really all there is to it. KSA makes the fighting, like, gets really, really close to it. But China has the ults that matter. Window is got a lot of value, but Window is just not a great ultimate and to dive. So China just has the better ult economy. So China looks really clean first point. KSA looks totally lost. KSA turns it around a little bit at the end there. China looks a lot messier with their neutral game. And KSA does a good job throwing chaos into there. Chaos into there, specifically. Cheers, Scooby. You're very welcome. But yeah, okay. So China, a little bit messy at points there, right? Like not super cohesive all the way through. And yeah. Okay, let's talk about the composition here. Now, I was talking about this in the co-stream, but I am Hanzo pilled, boys. I am based and Hanzo pilled. I think Hanzo can work quite well into these brawl compositions. I think the threat of the one shot, I think Dragon is not as good, but it can function quite well into the brawl compositions. I think Sojourn is everyone's favorite popular hero because she's really good versus dive, but KSA is not going to play dive. They're not going to play anything that even remotely resembles dive. So the downsides of Hanzo outside of the crappy ultimate are just not all that evident. Like, Hanzo's way easier to dive, but there's not going to be any dive. So just play Hanzo. Just play Hanzo. Now, why not Doom here? The reason that they don't play Doom here is because KSA has locked a non-Bastion composition from the get-go. So Winston is playable. The other reason why no Doomfist is because with the high ground on second point and with it being generally a more open map, I think you could get it, even if they did play Bastion, I think you could probably get away with Winston on second point. Now, third point, you're probably going to have a hard time. I think Bastion's going to be pretty good on third point. It's pretty narrow, not as many high grounds. So you'll probably see a Doomfist up. I don't remember. I think they do go Bastion Doomfist, I think. But yeah, you know that they're not on Bastion. You can play Winston. That's it. And they're not likely to play Bastion on second point either. But yeah, KSA's comp, it's like, again, it's what we just saw previously. It's like an anti-dive attempt, right? The reason that they're running the non-Lucio variation is because, again, the breadth of the map, the width, the depth, the size of the map means that speeding around and rushing onto people isn't going to be as useful. It's going to be more about what we were talking about earlier, where it's about holding off angles, spamming, shooting, denying the dive by pressuring out the Winston or pressuring out the Genji or shooting the Brig or shooting the Ana. It's more static. It's more holding off angles, and the Iliari is a lot better at that than the Lucio. Whereas in the previous map, because it was King of the Hill, because it was much shorter sightlines, the Lucio can do quite well. Now you say because Bapillary is just better. It's not better. It would be, if they played this composition on a shorter sightline map like King's Row, Attack, like any push map, King of the Hill, they would be trolling. This composition is not as good with the Lucio composition, at least right now. So yeah, that's pretty much it. How to counter KSA's Sem? You need to play at a range or a position where either if you get TP'd on, you die in a blaze of glory where your teammates can all off-angle and pincer, which we saw earlier, or to where it's very difficult to reach you. How does Sim function in a poke composition like this? She provides rotations for her team, and she solo contests off-angles by herself. Like, Sim is not a bad poke. Like, orbs are pretty good now, like with how fast they are and the two-shot threat. My problem with Yubi has been both with the Symmetra and Mei. I just don't think that you have the creativity for it. So we talked about it earlier, like the threat of TP on the backline and killing backline. That's really good, and that was at times what helped KSA to look good the previous map. The problem with this map is too freaking big, and without the Lucio comp, without the Lucio, I don't think you're going to be able to TP and rush anybody. So Yubi has to play like a gank, angle control, spam, pokey, off angle, teleport to get out, DPS. And if I remember correctly, I might be totally wrong, chat. I don't think he does a very good job of it. I don't think she does a very good job of it. I think that he needed more creativity and he didn't have it. He didn't have it. Because you're not going to group up with your team and teleport around in this map. You're going to have it like Iliari on an off angle, and then your Baps pocket and your Sigma, and then your Sojourn or your Symmetra or Sojourn. Yeah. So the question about the Kiriko versus Brig, I already addressed that one earlier. You're 100% right. The Brig is a weird choice. Weird choice, especially on a map this big. There's nothing that's going to dive here, right? So why the Brig? Well, what's probably going to happen is Brig is going to be +1ing another DPS, like we saw earlier. My problem with the Brig is I think on this map it's going to be harder to +1 and then still proc your Inspire. But Langsa's a really freaking good Brig. So if Langsa can find a way to make it doable, if anybody can do it, Langsa will find a way. But yes, I would agree that Kiriko is probably objectively on paper better than Brig here. It just comes down to character comfort at that point in time.
Doing some different stuff.
See, like right now,
I don't know what to expect from your analysis.
this setup in theory is not bad. The problem with Hanzo here is Hanzo makes it really hard to control and mark off angles because the guy can just freaking one-shot you. So if you don't put any pressure on the enemy Hanzo, it could be very difficult to play around him. Because even a Widowmaker you can hide from. You can take an off angle where Widow can't see you. It's hard to do that with Hanzo.
We have not seen them play Hanzo the entire tournament, right? That's a shout out to my boy Jinmu. Hanzo can like access the high ground a bit easier than like the Sojourn can, right? Okay.
Just the deployables, ladies and gentlemen.
A little bit more burst damage for the shield, right? Okay.
So I criticized Yubi earlier, but I do like what he's doing right now. So you're going to see Winston jump in, Winston jumps out. Leaves trying to take that angle at that point in time, but he plays with his turrets and he's playing by himself with a teleporter up to get out from. And you see, this is kind of what your Symmetra needs to do. She's holding an off angle, she's poking, she's marking their DPS. Leave is not allowed to use this room. Because you know what Leave would do when he took this room? What would Leave do when he took this room, chat? Think about it. Why does he want this room? Why does Leave want this room? What would he do with that positioning? Maybe not now, but 10 seconds from now. He'd either spam high ground with it, or dash. Dive on top of the high ground. Easy peasy. Instant one kill, right? So he'd chuck shurikens, and then Winston would dive from main, Hanzo would peek from this off angle, Winston would dive here, Genji would immediately dash on the high ground there, and there you got your dive, right? But if you make the Genji dash from over here, it's a lot harder. It's a lot worse. Takes him a lot longer to get there, right? So the Symmetra says, I know you want this angle to get to my backline. No. Problem now is freaking shy. Freaking shy. Freaking shy, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. I think maybe the only takeaway there is that I think KSA probably should have put a little bit more priority in controlling the Hanzo and just open himself up to his backline being naded. I don't think there's a good solution. It's just crazy. So, now they're going to go Winston here, or Bastion, because of the Winston choice. But they'll probably swap Doomfist. I honestly don't remember. But at this point, it's pretty easy to avoid Bastion with how open and how many covers and high grounds and things that they're available. And also the Bastion is really quite terrible into the Hanzo. Like really, really terrible versus the Hanzo. Probably one of Bastion's worst matchups, to be honest with you guys. Easy kill for Hanzo many of the times. Can't one-shot him, but you don't need to one-shot him. I mean, this is just terrifying, right? Like, this is where I think if you're KSA, first off, I don't like KSAA dropping to point immediately here. You just can't lie. The way to stop Hanzo is you have to put pressure on him. You must put pressure on him. I don't care if that's you sending Magid plus Symmetra and just pray he misses his first shot and go put pressure on this guy. More often than not, it's probably going to be more of the Sigma shield putting pressure on him and then just shooting cart. Because remember, the one weakness of China's comp is they don't really have anybody besides Genji that can push cart safely. Winston gets poked out really easily. So you don't need Sigma on cart here. You could have kept KSA on top and spam controlled the Hanzo and only touch cart when you absolutely had to, and probably don't even need to anytime soon. So I think this is a major oversight from KSA. And to be very clear, that's not necessarily a major error, because most of the time, you don't have to worry about this in this meta. You don't have to worry about marking a Hanzo. Even a Sojourn isn't quite as scary. It takes more time for it to build up. But this adjustment from China, KSA doesn't know how to play around it. And that's what makes these adjustments super OP. Is like, if you could do it well, the enemy team, it forces the enemy team to react, and if they don't react well, they will lose. Huge dragon. Had him a feed from Shy there, but he's gonna live. And it's just over. Double support ult from KSA, but it's not gonna be enough. I'm probably not gonna be making a Malga video. Yeah, not gonna be making a Malga video. Ooh, Quartz needed to get that kill. Quartz just chokes on that one. It did look like Quartz had some nerves. I don't think he played very well this match. Not up to par for him for certain. A little bit of early farm there. Quartz is going to go back to the Sojourn. I think that's probably the correct choice. You have a little bit more pressure on that Hanzo. And I don't think the Winston is necessarily a weak point here. And then again, like, this is the problem with the Hanzo. Like, think about how... Oh, yeah, I forgot about this, y'all. Okay, so I was going to finish my thought here. I was going to say, think about the weakness, the strength of the Hanzo is if you win fights just off of your neutrals because you're hitting headshots, then you end up winning. Because think about it, like, Hanzo doesn't have a great ult, but if you're winning fights off of Hanzo headshots, and then you have Primal and Rally and Nanoblade, like, that just feels terrible, right? Like, you're losing neutrals to Hanzo mechanics and then losing ult fights afterwards. Yeah, of course, Picklebrick. I don't mind. It was awesome to see you guys. Geez, this is so lucky. Like, it's so well done. I think the timing is a little bit off from China, but double Ajax, guys. It's a Blade Jax and a Nene Jax. You get me? So it's a Nene Jax. Nano and Blade canceled, and monstrous. Of course. So yeah, I mean, you know, unlucky, and then very lucky. So we take it. Sounds like some hipster drink. Ajax. Yeah, for sure. Now they're going to use Sim Wall early and try to push to clean this up. I think this is a little bit of hubris from China. After they were down one, they needed to give up a little bit more space. They don't. And then they would like KSA does a pretty good job chasing staggers here, which is nice. Like, you build up some ult charge, you waste another 20 seconds there. It's nice. Okay. Problem obviously is that you still have Rally and Primal to worry about, and obviously Shy still dinking. Quartz is holding top. Now you notice this now, like, you notice that KSA is now stacked on top. He's not immediately dropping the cart. He's holding high ground. And also Quartz on this off angle is preventing Shy from taking the same position. Is making it hard, because that's what they were losing from. Like, you guys got to understand, mechanics and positioning are multipliers. And the result of hitting a headshot are always a result of whether your mechanics or your positioning are good. Positioning isn't just about saving your life. Good positioning gives you more opportunities to hit your shots. So when Shy was up here, because his positioning was so OP and nobody was contesting him, a person of his mechanical caliber was going to hit a shot. It was only a matter of time. Shy here doesn't have near as good sightlines. It's a lot harder to hit the shots in that angle. And so he is a lot more at risk and is much more likely to hit, less likely to hit a shot. So when you deny the enemy team good positions, you deny them the ability to hit shots. It doesn't matter how good their mechanics are, they're significantly less likely to hit a shot if their positioning is worse. Great punish on the rotation. Again, I really think just China's just being a little sloppy here. Like, even things like this Winston bubble timing. This bubble is meant for the rotation, but it's just like Shy just kind of like chills, right? They don't even time it right. The bubble's been out for a long time by the time Shy even starts to rotate. So it's just, again, it feels like China is just Not that they're disrespectful at all. I think China was, from what I hear, one of the more respectful teams, really. But just not treating this necessarily with as much intensity as they ought to, or maybe just a little bit out of practice. Yeah, true, Wep. By the way, good to see you, mate. I haven't seen that name in a long time. Guys, if you guys know, Ultimate Wep is one of the NA Contenders DPS legends. And again, another very, very cheap fight win. That's exactly what KSA needs. They're not going to be winning the old economy, but they need these cheap fight wins. Again, Shy is very... I don't like that Disruptor shot. I would much rather prefer that Disruptor shot to deal with Shy. Cheers. Love you. Drive safe. But yeah. Magic's over here. There's the ult. Looking a little bit lost in the sauce there. He needs pocket. Shy is trying to hit the shot. He doesn't hit the shot, but they do hit the rotation. And I want you to notice that, like, as messy as this fight feels, look at the pincer here. There's the UB. So I've been talking trash about UB Symmetra, but actually it's at points looked pretty good in this map. Obviously my initial impression wasn't good because this is a pretty good Symmetra flank here. He's distracting Winston. He's pulling Leave back. He also got a hit a shot on the Brig. UB then goes back to top. You have the Sojourn pincer. You have the Symmetra pincer, the Sigma pincer, and then Eliari in the sky. And Shy gets caught with his pants down from the flank. So Shy is not even thinking about Quartz on the angle. So KSA is doing a really good job of using their high ground control and like pincering from multiple different sight lines at the same time. Magic gets caught with his pants down though. What happens here? This gets really messy unnecessarily. Oh, nice Quartz. He has those in him. Keeps UB alive. Well, okay, delays UB's death, but does get the kill. And again, like a pretty reasonable fight from China, from KSA. Both Rally and Primal used, and China is really struggling to make this rotation. Like I think China just needs to chill and actually get a 3-2-1 rotate into the right room and actually set up their fights properly. China is not setting up the stage very well, and KSA is doing a great job punishing them. How did Symmetra not die there? I don't think Monk had an angle on him. I think Monk had already rotated and couldn't see him. Why can't China go left? Like, you mean this way? The problem with going left is it's too far for your Winston or Genji to do anything. And then if you're on a Brig, go up top here. They can't pocket, like they can't peek anybody, right? So you would need to like, gosh, what would you do? You need to do like a rotation underneath, have your Ana Brig come up top, and dive like that way. That might work. I'm a little bit out of the scrim meta, and then maybe have your Hanzo rotate, like your Ana rotates this way. Maybe your Brig stays behind with Hanzo. DH picks here. Ana walks up. Winston dives here. Genji kind of comes from underneath and pincers. That might work.
Move around right, you can try and dodge it. Shy again.
But regardless of whatever you do, it's going to take some effort. And right now, China is... It's kind of beefing here, to be honest with you. Then now China has to push card a little bit. Shy is messy with the rotation. Again, Magic and Quartz controlling that off angle. Yubi gets caught with that teleport. I don't know what happens there. I think Yubi gets a little bit sloppy with it. Maybe he thinks that they have Nanoblade. He just wants to push. So Yubi's going to go out there. I don't know where his teleport is. He's left his teleport far, far behind. And Nanoblade instantly. I think... It looks like KSA was just trying to fight a chaos fight. Like, they knew that they had no old economy, so they just wanted to, like, take a quick fight and see if they could force some cooldowns, force some resources. But maybe the execution's not quite there. It looked like they didn't know where Monk and Lengsa were, and that's obviously a bit of a problem. I don't think they get the touch. Oh, no, they do. They definitely get the touch with TP. A little bit early for Magic. Losing Pylon in the angle that early really sucks. And yeah, KSA is too late to touch. Yeah. Quartz, where the heck did Quartz come from, guys? Oh, he just freaking runs up the stairs. He takes teleport and just runs up the stairs. 3, 2, 1. Blam. Leave has no idea. Shy has no idea. Yeah. Aw, unfortunate. Yeah, the bash on a high ground was such... If you have time to do that rotation, it's busted. You think using Captain Sun to counter Nanoblade is a good idea? No, I don't. No. It's way too inconsistent. Way too inconsistent. It's doable if you have like a perfectly coordinated team environment. I'm not saying that it was a bad idea for KSA. If they have like teleport, it can work, but it's not something I would try to replicate in ranked at all.
Disrupt the shuttle, force Shy down for now. Still with the Hanzo.
What do you mean course through? I think the Bastion angle was the only reason that fight even felt remotely winnable. Because it caught Leave by surprise. Leave got shot in the back. He was deflecting forward and he got shot in the back. He didn't even know the Bastion was there. And then obviously like Shy was getting crazy hard pocket.
From this position, send it through the corner. Gushue with the primal now as well. We know what that sound means.
EDR ult's used. It's just not great. Like Brig Langsa outplays it with Rally, which to be fair can still work because Langsa for whatever reason doesn't block it. Like I actually don't even know. Did he just miss it? So yeah, Langsa gets hit for some reason. That's a bit of a misplay. Then gets pincered from behind by Quartz. He pops Rally to live, disengages. KSA then pops his ultimate. Dragon is used. Nano is used. KSA gets onto backline. Yubi's able to disengage. I don't know what happens with Leb does cooldowns. I would have to look at his CDs. He should have had shift for that to live. Yubi does a good job disengaging. It's going to force a primal to get the trade on Shy. Basically a backline trade, which I think is 100% the play. You've had Nano, you've had Rally, you've had Primal, you've had Dragon. Again, KSA should be very pleased with this result, I think.
Getting close in a few of these fights, but not able to take it as a team from China will continue to move the payload.
Team from China, ladies and gentlemen. Team from China.
Matrix here available for OWWC, so maybe you're able
Now, if you guys want to see the biggest throw ever, you're going to want to see this. Because this was a real low point. KSA, who's actually had fairly decent macro overall, like maybe not so much on the Koth, I think, but like yeah, like that Baptiste shift from Lebda is a deep. That's a very DPS Baptiste shift. Look at that. He takes. Oh, come on, man. You just need to chill. You just need to chill. That's no good. Either way, this is a throw. So, what does this Baptiste window do? Think about it for a second. So you see the Winston use jump, you see the backline peeking from China, and you see what the BAP window does. So then now everybody from China is like disengaged out this way, or this way, or this way, or in the case of Gushue, this way. So what you've done is you've forced a really ugly split from China. China is like all scattered, totally scattered to the winds. So actually, the BAP window is okay. So chat, what should you do now that you forced out the BAP window? Or you've used the BAP window to force this split? What do you do now? If you guys have seen enough of my videos or been in my stream long enough, you should know what you should do. You have control, you force them out, you need to deepen your off angles, right? You need Yubi to peek this way, you need specifically Quartz really to swing this way to start shooting on Gushue. Gushue should die from this off angle. You don't stack on main to shoot through a BAP window where nobody's peeking because it's BAP window. You need to deepen your off angles and take space. And then if they use an ultimate or you want to keep pushing, then you use your sim wall. Instead, what happens is they blow two ultimates that do the same thing and stand there shooting through main. Terrible. Layers, ladies and gentlemen. If you've seen that lasagna video, you know what I'm talking about. You do not pop two ultimates that do the same thing. You use one, get an advantage, and then either win the fight or then get the advantage, deepen the advantage by using the second one. Now, terrible, terrible ult use from KSA. Great disengage from China to not only disengage the ultimate, but to maintain map control and just really poor fundamentals from KSA there. A little bit, and you ask yourself, why do you think KSA's fundamentals window? And this happens all the time in matches, all the time in officials. I'm not saying necessarily this was 100% the case, but more often than not, it's nerves. It's a lot of nerves. People get nervous. People try to force things, especially in last fights, and just pray it works, and they choke. And that was a big choke from KSA right there. No way that they should have lost a fight like that. Okay. So, Winston opener on defense. Again, a little bit of ego. They don't think that they're going to play Bash on this map, so they're going to open Winston. I think that's a pretty reasonable tickle my throat expectation. Exactly, Stefano. Exactly. Layers. A lot of early pressure from China. Maybe not the... Oh my gosh. Maybe not the greatest Winston bubble from Gushui. I think here, Gushui just needs to let them walk forward a little bit more. Like, you're getting a little bit of cleave here, but there's too many members of China that are not, including the Ana, I think, on high ground, that are not engaged in this trade, so it's a bit of a wasted bubble. He builds a little bit of primal from it, but I would have preferred to, like, wait for them to walk forward a little bit further, and then they're going to be able to walk forward afterwards. Shy gets found, and see, this is exactly why you don't use your Winston bubble, because Shy is exposed here. Then they TP, and now Shy's getting pushed. Gushui needs his bubble right now to zone off the backline so that his team can peel off Shy, or so that he can jump to peel Chai. And Quartz is slowly clearing out this off angle. You see this, y'all? It's just mechanics. It's just mechanics. Like, it's actually pretty smart. The only nitpick I would have here is I would prefer Magid to be here with Quartz. I don't know why Magid is not here with Quartz, to be honest with you. Pylon would go so hard here. Pylon would go so hard here. But what Quartz is doing is the correct play. He's swinging wide. He's getting an off angle to shoot on the point. He just needs some sort of support. And we have both supports pumping healing up in KSA's butt cheeks. And it's just totally unnecessary. And so it becomes a mechanical matchup when it shouldn't have been a mechanical matchup. It should have been Quartz who has more support because of the composition they're playing. I mean, what it should have been. It should have been Lengsa. You see Lengsa? Lengsa was here before Magid was there. It should have been 1+1 versus 1+1, and then it would have devolved into mechanics again. You guys kind of see what I'm saying? Lengsa was a little bit slow. Magid was really slow, and then yeah, it got messy. It should be a 2v2, right? And Lengsa is there quickly enough to support, but really, yeah, it's ugly. A little bit of an overextension from Leave. That's a Genji classic. You use your deflect to get one kill, you get your dash reset, and really, really sloppy from China here. You got one kill. You're only one kill. There's 2 kills. The Leave is low. Gets killed. Gushui needs to disengage. He just greeds his bubble. Like, Gushui just freaking greeds and then gets rocked. I actually have no idea what Gushui's plan was. That was just a total feed from Gushui specifically. Leave a little bit as well, but that was just a total feed. Do you conf your Iliari to come with you? It should be communicated, yes, but also that should be something that instinctually should be happening from Magid as well. It's definitely scary going inside that smaller room when there's a Genji on the enemy team, but it needs to happen. Now, the good news is that not a lot of point progress because Shy did kill a few. There's the push out on the Hanzo, a little bit of pressure. And I'm telling you, this is what you have to do. You cannot let Hanzo sit here and shoot you. Yubi takes the teleporter, gets a little bit of heal, spams out, Shy drops. Now Shy's opportunity to hit a shot, significantly lower. KSA anchor on point. Nano. This is actually really big from KSA. They know the Nano is coming in. But do you see the positioning here? What you see on your screen is all you need to know. KSA holding on main. Quartz angle with, it looks like Pylon maybe, maybe not. And then Magid on a deeper angle as well. Maybe not with Pylon. So then they peel off the Nano Primal. Meanwhile, these 3 guys are taking the backline trade. Shy is 1. Shy dies to Magid on the flank, where he wasn't earlier. Quartz also kills. So you've committed Nano and Primal, but this is losable. The only reason that KSA loses this is Quartz. I want you guys to watch really carefully here. Quartz is on coast and falls off the map. I think he would have died either way. I think leave kills Quartz almost 100% guaranteed. But not bad. They should have had TP ready, yes. They should have had TP ready. TP will not save you versus Primal, but it will buy more time. So yes, they should have had TP ready. Well, actually, that's a good question. Where was TP? Oh, he used it early. Okay, so that's why TP was used. He used it early to force out Shy. I actually don't hate that much, but I do think that once that TP is out, UB then should have backed up even further. Like a Sojourn without slide, playing safer. I think that would have been the play there. Good catch. And a monkey.
Somehow ends up falling off or something happens, and I mean that's a lot of damage that you would have loved to have.
Now this is the fight KSA probably should win.
Okay, here comes that teleporter.
Early Samoa. Gonna clear some space.
Dragon strike from Shy from an order.
Shy Dragon. Bap window is canceled. I just...
Thrown up. Okay, here comes that teleporter.
They're gonna flux. They're gonna... I think KSA just misses his flux, guys. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. No, he gets stunned out of it again. Ooh, yeah, KSA not having the best series, to be honest with you. Like, you need to know that's gonna happen. Also, not 100% a huge fan of opening with Flux here. You already have the massive advantage of Sim Wall. You just need to walk forward, take the space with that, and then make the decision from there. Push the Brig first, push Shy first, then Flux afterwards. I don't like the timing of the Flux. I think, yes, I think you Sim Wall. I think you then TP high ground, and then I think you focus, you burn the Ana or something, and then you go for Shy afterwards and then Flux later. I think this is not a great engage. The TP is there, but then the Dragon Force focuses up TP. The BAP one was also pretty bad too. So it's like a bunch of ultimates from KSA used with no real setup at all. And just slamming all these ultimates. It's like brute forcing. Like a lot of KSA's ult plans have been, the last few fights, the last, I guess, several minutes have been really just brute force, and it's looked quite ugly. Nice shot from Majid. Shy hits a shot. Yeah, the only good thing from, I mean, really they get very fortunate there because they needed that blade, China did, and that just happened to be the person that Majid headshot. So KSA gets really fortunate there.
And giving the first checkpoint to Saudi Arabia. You really do see how effective the Alari is, though, against these types of comps, right? I mean, a few times we've already seen Marjet able to take out.
Yeah, I agree, Vaccinate. I think, like, overall, KSA's ult execution has been left much to be desired, I think, in these matchups. A lot of, at least the last several minutes. Is Majid really the best Iliari? There's not a lot of competition at the Overwatch League level right now, but I do think Majid is really, really, really good, yeah. Now this one tilted me. So Winston goes in first. Focuses bat. Leave comes from the angle. Gets rocked. But is on the other side of Winston bubble. So doesn't get follow-up. In Yubi, they just didn't hit the shots in time. No chance that should have worked. But it did. Vestola versus KSA. Vestola is better. On Sigma, for sure. KSA probably has the more diverse hero pool, but Vestola is definitely the better Sigma. I think Vestola is an argument for being one of the best Sigmas in the world, I think. And this isn't recency biased. I've known of Vestola for... Vestola's been a crazy Sigma since like 2019. Okay, off angle from Majid. It's like an off angle with, yeah, Sojourn as well. So love to see it. A little bit of DPS. They pincer the Genji. Love to see it. That's sloppy from Leave, really. Here's the Winston jump. He knows Nano Primal's coming in. So he's trying to look for Langsa. He's looking for Langsa, who's going to be pushing up off of the dive. And this is where I do think that the weakness of the Brig really shows out. Like, we talked about how well Langsa has been playing in terms of getting value in the Brig in these like suboptimal situations. But this is like a perfect example of where Brig just feels kind of bad. Where your Winston goes in, you can't really peel your Ana versus like headshots and such. And your Ana's also not really being dove. But you also can't really push yourself without risk of death because you're not mobile enough to get in or get out. And also this map is too broad for you to reach backline. So Magic thinks Lingsa's going to push. And the funny thing is, he's not necessarily wrong, but it's so hard for Lingsa to like reasonably push without being at a risk of death. So I think like Lingsa always has to play better than the enemy support counterpart because Kiriko or some other character would just be a little better. Nice shots. Obviously, it's a good shot. I mean, it's a Nano Primal again. There isn't a whole lot to say. Nano Primal is just really freaking good. The fact that KSA even got any cart push or got any kills is really, really nice because Nano Primal is just there's just no answer for it. You don't have a support for it. Is Hanzo better in Sojourn? I think Hanzo is very reasonable as long as your Hanzo's under no pressure. And right now, Hanzo's not been under a lot of pressure.
To get this second checkpoint, you've got about halfway through to checkpoint B.
They're building up a huge bank of ultimates though, man.
Yeah.
They do have that going for them.
Not getting high.
Good angle from Hanzo and Genji there. We should see the Brig up at the top, maybe. Yeah, Brig's up top here, packing both of them.
Run away.
There's the dive. A little early from Leave there.
I don't know what you're doing with it, right? You can
I think Leave just really wants that dash. He does have the Hanzo angle, but he's not going to get support. And thankfully, they did take TP. And look at how aggressively Lengsa pushes to help. He sees the backlines out, so it's just a Sigma. So the Lengsa just totally drops in to help Leave. Huge, huge play. That does expose Monk, but in theory, Monk should be able to keep himself alive. Terrible Dragon from Shy there. The teleporter had already gone off, so I think he kind of missed it. And then Gushui actually just freaking dies. Like, Gushui doesn't realize his Ana's dead, and then just freaking dies. So not really nice flip. Gil Kong, thanks for the sub, mate. Really nice little flip there from KSA. Not really well executed by China. I don't know why they forced this so much. Like, even Leave's dash here was sloppy. Like, you could just stuff this, zap, 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 zap. Let them teleport. There's the Sim Wall. Don't use Winston Bubble. Now jump onto the teleport rotation, commit your dash, and so on. It's just, again, it's strange. Vision, thank you for the sub. It just seems like they don't really know how to play versus this. Definitely an ult difference, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 ultimates used, but still, regardless, a confusing hard commit from China. A confusing hard commit from China.
Lengsa inside that flux. No chance to follow up in a moment. Lengsa is low. He's unlikely to use a rally for just himself. It makes no sense. And eventually Shy is brought down. Quartz has 3.
Late kill from Quartz there.
This guy's unreal. Yeah, I mean,
Langsa's on the move.
It's just Quartz and Surmajet.
Woo!
Here we go. It's a rally.
Nice play. Forces rally out early. Shy on the Widowmaker. Because why not? This is a great sightline for Widowmaker. You're playing for one fight anyway. And China has time here to build this blade.
maybe just really wants to punish Majid for hanging out in the air. Dangling himself
And China has again reestablished high ground positioning.
as well. I like the TP though. Oh, Shy.
And they're going to punish that grapple usage right there. So they saw Shy use grapple. And they're like, yo, let's get this kid. Which is unfortunate, because I think the Widow can work quite well, but you can't use your grapple like that. You can't use your defensive cooldown like that. Lebda just freaking dies. I don't know what happens with Lebda. He doesn't even get his lamp off. Yeah, he doesn't. I don't think he just dies. He just dies. So that's a bit of a mistake.
I like the TP though. Oh, Shy. Didn't expect a tea party.
Can't really get rid of it as fast as you can with Hanzo.
Too easy to die. That Widow. Lapped it down though. Gushui at least on the counter dive finds one, but look how close the card is. 20.
Langsa in the small room needs to disengage. Does so very easily versus. And then now we have Brig on the flank on Yubi, and this is the heartbreaker here. So like, Majid on the flank. He's gonna let ult rip, and he's just gonna freaking let it rip, and he's gonna avoid the blade while at the same time, Quartz is gonna slide away from blade, and you're thinking, no way that China wins this one, right? Well,
Catch him. He drops to the ground. He's vulnerable.
that happens. So Shy hits a crazy shot from spawn. And then Yubi teleports like this. which again, you know, under pressure, it happens, you know, like it happens to the best of us, literally to the best of us, right? KSA is dead. KSA is dead. There's nothing they can do to save KSA. He is dead. It's Nano Blade. It's a Brig swinging. My brother is dead. Yubi should be alive here. And that would have been the difference here. So instead, Shy gets a crazy kill. Leave kills 2 for 1. And even though Quartz kills Shy, there's nobody to win the fight on card. And so, yeah. That's it. So China actually messes up pretty badly there and gets away with it because KSA also messes up and Nanoblade. So a little messy from both teams, right? Not the level of play that we see in Overwatch League, and that's pretty normal. I mean, even for a team like Team China, who is, you know, Overwatch League almost literally, but you know, bit out of practice, not scrimming as good teams. It's normal for teams to kind of atrophy just a little bit. And still very, very high level Overwatch. But yeah, it gets messy. Have we talked about the Genji pick for China? I think the Genji pick is quite good, personally. I think Genji is quite good. There isn't really a better pick, to be honest with you guys. It's good old economy. It's good off-angle control. Yeah, it's not terrible neutral. Yeah. Because the Genji, what the Genji does is he controls an off angle and just puts out pressure. Now, you guys might be saying, would you not just play Tracer then, right? Isn't Tracer just a better off angler? Yes, in most circumstances, yes. But anything that has, like, for example, a Bastion or even like a Baptiste, a Genji can do quite well. I think Tracer has a slightly worse matchup in those matchups. And also, whenever there's a threat of like even something like if you're looking about like the way Dive beats Brawl through just basically taking angles and winning old economy over and over and over again, the Nano Blade is just going to be a more consistent representation of like that win condition, essentially. The Brig is indeed the weirdest choice. Yes, I agree. I have a little bit more confidence in the Brig pick on this map because it's a slightly tighter, shorter sightline map. But I do think that the Brig pick was a bit of a liability the last map. It helps that Lynx us playing it, but I do think it's a bit of a liability. The other thing, too, is about the last map. You would almost never play Tracer into a BAP Iliari. It's not just in ranked. That would be very hard to play Tracer into. Okay, let's go. Cheers, Skitza. So KSA is going to open Bastion, which is ambitious, to say the least. Bastion's quite good on this map. It's tighter sightlines, more speed-oriented, and you have the Lucio speed to help you, which allows you to get more value out of your turret form. But I'm not going to lie with you guys. When I saw this on stream, I thought, GG's 3-0. GG's 3-0. Because I'm thinking, no way China loses to Bastion Symmetra. I think China's comp, when played with this caliber of players, is just better. I think even with the Brigitte, I think it's just better. So much damage. Genji plays. Let me look at the Genji position here. Like, look, he's on the angle. Doom on the angle. Sojourn on the angle. Obviously, the Brig is kind of weird. But even she's getting good pack value. You can't really teleport on anybody. I will say that's the one nice thing about the Brig is that it does give you an instant peel on your Ana if she gets teleported onto because of pack. So it does buy your Ana some time, whereas Kiriko might not be in a position to peel on the Ana as easily. That's the one nice thing. But yeah. So they get point first, but it's really like a ticking time bomb before somebody hits a nade, Sojourn builds a shot. And this is kind of what we're worried about. Like even Brig right now playing aggressively on the DPS angle. Yubi actually just freaking melts. I don't even know where Yubi is. He gets punch stunned. I don't even know. I really don't know where he was, chat. I do not know where he was. He might have just playing with his team. No, he was on the right angle. I think Doom goes in and punches and just freaking one-shots him. So that feels like a mechanical play. Maybe a bit of a failure to peel from KSA. I don't know. But they just get pincered from every angle. And there's just no way that you can win this. And the problem with this comp from KSA, I think, is there's just no damage on a Doomfist. Like, it's just so hard to kill a Doomfist with this composition. Unless he makes a major mistake with his power block, which should never get CC'd. There just isn't anything that's going to punish Doomfist or even poke him out consistently. Yeah, Lengsa was bodyguarding Shy. It did work well.
Shy there almost taking out Sir Martin instantly. That railgun. Here comes the turrets getting set up. You can hear them now as
I mean, I'm telling you guys, I saw this and I thought it's over. I thought it was over. Because they cap point and they already have the ult mink of all time, you know, and like this is just ridiculous from KSAA. Like he slam cancels into a punch, but then gets rocked out of it. Nano Doomfist. I could not believe it. So then they're going to use Sojourn ult, but honestly, it's really not a great Sojourn ult in terms of placement. It does get the kill it needs. This ends up being a bit of an over ult from China, right? So there's 3 ultimates used, and really one ultimate well placed would have been better. Looking at this, I don't necessarily know what could have been done better. I think probably I would have preferred something like a Nano Genji here instead. I think a Nano Genji here would have been better with the Doomfist to set up the engage because the Doomfist already had ultimate. And also the Nano Genji is a lot harder to stop. Your Doomfist can just go and absorb the cooldowns and so on. But basically, Leave doesn't really do a whole lot, and the angle from Shy maybe could be argued as a little bit too passive. But yeah, I mean, it hardly matters. Yeah, I mean, even with this over ult, it's still like, it's not the end of the world for China. The one thing I will say is I don't know, to critique KSA, I don't know if teleporting into high ground there was the best move because it still left you very vulnerable to all the off angles. Remember, if you want to teleport, you need to teleport onto somebody or you need to teleport onto an angle. Instead, they teleported kind of in the middle of everybody. So I don't love that teleport. I think even teleporting to point there would have been better.
Where you actually now will get that spawn for that next checkpoint, so actually close the gap a little bit.
Yeah, plus the Symmetra means you can actually get to the point first here.
Yeah, KSA, there's no way KSA retakes that. It's too late. Quartz is going to open with Bastion ult, which is fine. Can force some resources, can force nade. Huge pump. Going to buy them a lot of time. There is the nade forced. And Shy, and this is where weird stuff starts to happen for China. And this is exactly what KSA needed. They needed weird stuff to happen for China. Where Shy is on the angle, gets TP'd on by a Symmetra, eats an orb, eats another orb, and then gets beamed and dies. I don't know if he didn't have slide. I don't know if he reacted too slowly or what, but this can't happen if you're Shy. It's unforgivable. Unforgivable. You need to have slide. You need to respect the Symmetra because that is the risk of Symmetra. And so then they're going to commit Rally Blade, but Haku says no, gets off a great beat. That's going to shut down the Blade. Lengths is going to over push thinking that, oh, we can just push Rally, right? Well, no, beat. Beat is better than Rally for the first 2 seconds. And so Lengsa gets absolutely turbo stomped by the Bastion. And to keep in mind, this is all 4v5. So KSA gladly uses 3 ults for 2, including Bastion ultimate, and wins the fight handily. And this, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is what lost China the series. If you guys want to scapegoat anybody, There is an imposter among us. There's an imposter among us. This is by far the biggest throw of the entire series. Why did Shy go Soldier? Now, Soldier flanking, even as recent as the Overwatch League play-ins, I think, if I remember correctly, was a legitimate strategy. Character was pretty strong, was a good strategy, was good. But it is not necessary versus KSA's comp. You don't need the Soldier legs to take an off angle. In fact, if you go back to the fight that Shy just lost, Shy in the off angle, right? There's nothing wrong with this. Just don't waste your slide. Symmetra uses her teleport, you slide away, you freaking rail her in the head, or you just build more charge. This is great from Shy. So Shy dies to this because he totally royally screws up his cooldowns and then says, you know what? I'm going to go a character that doesn't have a cooldown. The problem is this character does not have the consistent range threat to be able to handle this. And also, Sigma can pretty easily shut this character down. Oh, and also, this character's ult sucks. Sojourn obliterates this composition if she's able to consistently hold an angle and slide. And that's what she's been doing this entire game. Guys, we have an entire support dedicated towards helping Shy do what he wants. But he's going to go a DPS that doesn't need support. But why? Why? At this point in time, if you're going to be running this, you should go to Lucio. And then that way you can get more value, like aggressive Lucid, because your other DPS doesn't need the support anymore. But no, we're going to stay on a Brig with a flank soldier that doesn't need any healing. This is a huge throw. This literally cost China the series right here. The stupidest thing, I was losing my mind in the coach stream going, why are they going? And not only, and by the way, this is talking about it from a strategic standpoint. I think Sojourn is better. But a hero strength standpoint, Shy, arguably one of, if not the best Sojourn in the world. He was at times, in times past, I think the best Sojourn in the world. If he is any more right now, I still think he's an argument for being one of the best Sojourns in the world, regardless. Go Soldier. I don't understand, guys. So this was a huge throw. This was a big, big, big mistake from Shy. And it even gives KSA somebody to focus with Sigma Flux, because that's one of the challenges, right? It's like you can only really go for backline here. So, so we get this deep angle here, but you see he's getting marked. It's much easier to do this. Like the self-sustain is nice and all. The distraction is like decent. Like he's playing, like let me be very clear, guys. He's playing Soldier the way Soldier should be played in this matchup. But it's a straight up downgrade from what Sojourn could do. You cannot go in as deep of an angle with Sojourn, but the angles matter so much more. I just don't understand. And even with something like the teleport, right? The teleport allows you to totally negate these hard flanks because look at this. Bam, bam, bam. Everybody's now all of a sudden, where's my mouse? Okay, everybody's all of a sudden over here. This Soldier flank is useless. So you go for a super hard flank, they teleport away from the flank, and now you're left with egg in your face. And so they actually TP in with Flux, and they get Lingsa. I'm actually curious. I would have loved to look at replay viewer here because, in theory, China should have been able to still win this even now. I think maybe Gushui. Oh, this is what happened, chat. You guys actually see what happened? China is smoking some kush, guys. Look at this. Here's why the teleporter works. Not only do you have Soldier on the hard flank doing nothing, Monk is on the flank. And so they teleport, and Brig is totally by herself, and nobody can off. Because the thing is to help Brig, you don't need to heal the Brig. You just need to shoot the people shooting the Brig. So the Brig will die, but they'll trade. Like we saw this earlier where KSA, I think it was on the second point of the Koth round, where they TP onto the backline and Monk dies like that, right? But Gushui jumps on, and then the DPS shoot from this flank, and then Leave shoots, and then the Brig swings, right? The problem with this is when they teleport over here, nobody can even shoot the teleporter. There's nobody there. It's just Lengsa looking totally by himself. So Lengsa just freaking dies. The only person there is Leave. There's 3 members of China that can't do anything to punish this teleport. No, there is no replay code for this. I have the Overwatch League replay viewer still, but the World Cup viewer isn't on this. There is no World Cup viewer. There's nobody there. The Ana isn't there. The Doomfist isn't there, and the soldier's on the flank, and that's it. So it was a good recognition by KSA, but China is currently crapping their pants. They're totally screwing this up, and then and then more staggers, and then and that's it. So Shy, surely this time. Surely, chat. Surely. Shy in the flank again, and again you see the problem with the soldier flank, right? So again, Shy is taking the hard soldier flank. Problem is all KSA have to do is teleport, and now this is no longer a flank at all. That's it. Bang. Shy is now completely worthless. Woo-wee! Woo! The bounce nade and smoked. Rolled and smoked, my doggies. Really, really good stuff from KSA. And China is just like, even the fact that Gushui died there is just kind of sloppy, Like, China is trying to get way too cute with how deep these flanks are, and then they're getting completely smoked by the teleporter over and over and over and over again. Over relaxing? I don't think it's an over relaxing. I just think it's a bad read. Shy just needs to play Sojourn. That's it. I think China's comp is totally fine. Just play Sojourn. You're totally fine. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. I was joking. Somebody watched the Spilo TikTok. 1, 2, 3. They got the combo. Well done, Quartz. Check this out. Bam, bam. Where is Monk supposed to go? He can only go in one of two directions. He sees him starting to lean in that direction, and it's over. There's almost nothing that could have saved him there. If he was a little bit faster to react, a double Brig armor pack might have saved him. But it is so hard to play. Great, great Bastional from Quartz. Phenomenal Bastional from Quartz. And it's just... Hang on. Okay. Choking on my own spit. It's so freaking easy, guys. It's so freaking easy. It's nano. It's gone. No nano blade. So they commit. Huge rock from KSA, and the fight's just won. That's it. I'm actually curious where Shy was. Yeah, Shy was DPSing on the flank. Don't forget, Spilo took credit for the kill during stream. I don't give a rip, bro. I don't give a rip. I'll take credit for every good Bastional in the history of Overwatch 2 from now on. Why you wouldn't want to play Sojourn here? Yeah, I don't understand either. Sojourn, there's so many fat and slow targets. It's so easy to build rail. Nobody can contest you on off angles. Your ult is oppressive. Super, super strong. There's a nano blade. KSA honestly could just TP this. They're going to beat it and then TP it, which seems reasonable enough. The TP is broken, I think. But honestly, like, it's such a good response. And I think, like, again, I just feel like this is just not well placed. Like, I don't know where Shy is. So maybe Shy is ready. Maybe Shy is on the flank here. But I don't even know where, like, where's Gushui? Did Gushui get rocked? Like, Gushui just misses the engage, guys. Like, maybe I'm... Yeah, he cancels the engage, punches, but I think he misses the punch. I honestly don't know, because they don't disrupt the TP. They just TP away. And then KSA beats, UB walls, and then they have the Bastion Bap on the off angle that catches Langsa with his pants down. And so the Brig again is struggling. The Simwall totally shuts down the soldier flank. Doom is in. So maybe this is still winnable. But it feels so messy. So messy. Oh, they also visored that as well. Oh, I remember this. This is crazy. triple packs plus Inspire plus On and Aid. GG's. Yeah, they tried to Ajax, I think. I think they tried to punch the Lucio, but they messed it up. So yeah, you can post a link if you want. I don't give a rip. So really expensive fight from China. Really expensive fight from China. KSA can generally just walk back in here. Bat window here is a little tight, but it should clear point. Guxue, 1 HP. Flux catches Soldier because Soldier sucks. Rally is used. KSA is low. Not the greatest rock ever. Monk, what happens to Monk here? I think Monk, yeah. They TP up to Monk. Monk gets caught. Brig and Linksa by themselves. Linksa basically just has to AFK to live, even mid-rally.
Here is the Monty Spilo Prime.
Hey, Reds.
Hope her doing better now.
Cheers, man. I appreciate the sub.
Down on content creation a little bit, man. Hello to chat and Pepper 2 smile.
Yes, it's been good recently. So, messy fight, but KSA wins because old economy and a really, really nice setup. At KSA at this point, big momentum shift. China's looking really lost. The Soldiers doing nothing. The TPs are really screwing up China. The ult fights are not going China's way when they really ought to. The creativity from KSA is flowing. If you guys are crying about Ana Brig being able to live versus a Sigma at half HP, then y'all are coping. TP. And this is the problem with Soldier, right? You teleport on Soldier, he runs away, but unlike Sojourn, he doesn't run away and then have Railgun. He runs away and he stacks inside of his team. Bastion ult again. That one he actually puts in the skybox. I was very confused about that ultimate. I think he messed it up. Anchor on point, Nanoblade incoming, and he's dead before Nanoblade again. It's really easy to look at this and blame Lee for dying first, but there's so many other factors going into play. Lynx has had a much harder time playing Brig than he did on the first point because it's a little bit more open. Shai has been doing error this entire time. Guxue has messed up a couple of combos, stuff like that. Did you always push with Bastion ulti? You should try to take space with Bastion. Oh, yeah. You don't necessarily have to push, but you do need to take some space with it. TP, Shai dies again. I told you this was a rough one. There's the Nanoblade, but the beats in time. Monk also just freaking dies because he's too close. Monk got a little bit cheeky with it. And Lynx is unable to peel it as well, so Lynx dies too. Leave should die-ish. Nice little tactical stagger, ladies and gentlemen. And watch this shot right here. Wham! Nice shot. Yeah, well done. Way too many ult fights being won by KSA because the lack of value being get by 1.5 people on the field right now. It's really easy to look at this and be like, yo, why aren't we killing 6 with Nanoblade, you know? But when it's literally just you and maybe Guxue doing something, and half the rest of the roster is doing no pressure whatsoever, not forcing any CDs, not splitting the attention, not cleaning up the mess, then it's really hard.
I gotta say, Haku's been really good with his sound barriers throughout this map as well. Every time Leave has had that blade, there's been an answer. Shot can be shut down by.
You think Doom punching Lucio as Nanoblade comes out as a consistent way to Ajax? Yeah. If you can get it, it's a skill play, but yeah. There's the Doom engage. I don't even know where Shai is anymore at this point. I don't even care anymore. He's worthless. I actually think he might be on the flank here. There's the early sim wall. It's good. It's going to force Doom ult. That's actually a rock. He misses Flux, though, but it's the zoning ult, and that's just it. China, just really poor macro play, poor hero picks, and a lot of individual mistakes from them. Starts off from a really clean start, and they just completely fall apart. KSA completely outclasses in terms of mechanics and in terms of macro gameplay. You think continuing with the Genji was a mistake? No. I think the Genji is totally fine. I think from this point on, Obviously, like I'm gonna continue to second guess the Brig at points in time. But it was just an execution difference. Like if you're playing Doom, Ana, Sojourn, Genji, and you can't beat this composition with China's level of dive, it's just an execution difference. Yeah. And for like a little bit of like insight for some of you guys that might not know, this is considered easily the best dive push map because of the amount of like high ground and like flank angles that are available. So this was China's choice. On top, Sojourn on top. Shy is kind of on the angle here. Now, I was surprised that Shy did not peek this more. Like, honestly, I wanted Lengsa to kind of play here, Shy to play here, and just to keep re-peeking with armor packs. And then that way, if they TP onto Monk, Lengsa can still pack Monk. Monk can drop. Gushui and Leave can really mess up, plus Nade, can really mess up that TP engage. You think you rely on Nanoblade as much? Yes and no. I think the reason why Nanoblade failed so much last map is because it was only the Nanoblade engaging. Shy was nowhere to be seen. Brig value was nowhere to be seen. And Gushu would also mess up his rollouts and well. So I don't necessarily have a problem with relying on Nanoblade. Nanoblade will go right through a beat if there's any sort of support. But yeah, you don't make a bad point there. So again, I just don't like Lengsa's positioning. Like you look at this here and you're like, this is so powerful. So powerful. He just needs healing. Like it hurts my soul that he has to use slide there instead of just getting an armor pack from a Brig with him. Not necessarily on top of him, because Brig needs to be able to see Ana too, but it just hurts my soul so much. And Gushui, I assume, just gets rocked. It's a mechanical misplay there. Yeah, he's going to get rocked. It just messes up. It's just like, that one hurts. That just cannot happen if you're China. You guys want to see something funny? Check this out. You guys may not remember this. He just freaking dies. He just freaking dies. Magid's busy, I think, fighting Leave. I don't even know who Magid's fighting. Yeah, I think it's Leave. And just KSA just slowly dies to a Brig. Super funny. So big fight win from KSA. Shy has a great angle, gets no support, has to disengage. Gushui makes a mistake with his cycles, ends up getting rocked out and punished. Really nice job from KSA, because you know that Quartz had to time that turret form perfectly to follow up off of that rock to burst on Gushui, and he did it. So yeah. That's why they picked Brig right. Bash on the top. Bap window is pretty good there. It forces a decent amount of space. Again, I just don't like how many people are shooting through that BAP window. I don't think we need that many people to shoot through it. And then also Magid just gets mechanicked by Shy. Would have also liked a better timed combo with Nade there. A better team is able to synchronize that up a little bit better for a chance of a one-shot with that Nade. Nano and Genji goes through. There's the beat. Leave is just going to play his life. They're up one, so he just needs to live. Gushui gets punished, though. What happens here? Very difficult to see what's going on here. So they're able to focus down Gushui because they've zoned out backline. So then the window did kill Gushui indirectly because it forced the supports out of LOS, and Gushui takes him the mother load of damage. I think the only thing there is Gushui probably could have just played his life a little bit more. He drops down. He uses CDs. And then even here, like, you know, he just gets one shot. Like, look at Gushui's HP here, right? Bam! I think they peek up over the edge, and the support is just a little bit low. It's a huge nade from Quartz. So KSA does a really nice job. Oh, man, yeah, Lang says... So much hubris from China here. So much hubris.
It's a mistake. Lee doesn't have a nano boost and gets brought down. Quartz with yet another kill.
And KSA does such a good job like controlling the high ground, controlling the off angles, and like really kind of funneling China out into the open, and they just slowly bleed HP down. I'm telling you, positioning is everything. China needed to win that one, and they needed to win it cleanly. They don't do that. They have a hard time clearing high ground. They were able to kill Majid. They needed to re-stabilize and then re-engage. But instead what happens is in the panic of mid-fight, they nano the Genji, but people are too low to follow up. So the nano Genji forces beat, they disengage, but they're unable to stabilize and then re-push. Like that's the thing with dive comps is like you have to have these ups and down cycles of like where you're in and you're out and you're in and you're out because you're very cool and unreliant, you know? You're not standing there as Sigma and shooting or as Bastion and shooting. Like you play around your nades, you play around your Sojourn rails, you play around your Genji CDs, your Doomfist CDs. And China is, and KSA is doing a good job preventing that downtime from happening, and China's having a hard time stabilizing.
Both this map, they have to have had a plan. But something's not clicking for them yet. That was a full
Early Bastional,
for China with limited result. I'd be worried if I was them.
not the best placed. So if we're gonna like coach this a little bit, you'd want to put one here, and then you'd want to do a 1-2-3. Do you see how these two are too close? These are two close together. This is the problem. If he'd gone 1, read the movement, and then gone 2, 3, or had gone 1, 2, force her to move forward here, and then gone 3, it would have worked.
I'd be worried if I was them.
Not bad. It puts a lot of pressure on them at an awkward time, and it does zone out Leave. I don't even know where Leave is, bro. Where is Leave here?
Not clicking for them yet.
Is he on cart? I think he might be on cart. No, he's on the right.
With limited result. I'd be worried if I was them. Oh, Monk and everybody takes so much damage from that artillery. And
And he just gets lasered down. Shy as well. Should Bastion ult always kill an Ana? No. I think a lot of it depends on how quick the Ana's reaction speed is and if she gets peel. If she gets like any sort of peel and or has nade, it can be a little bit tricky. So they're unable to turn the corner. That's fine. They're going to go retreat to high ground and hold space. Now, this is where if you're KSA, you really want to have you be on high ground with a teleporter ready for your Bastion and your Sigma, just in case you want a kite and ultimate. It will probably be Nano, maybe Sojourn ult. So they've already used their teleporter a little early because Quartz was sitting on the floor. Quartz should have been on high ground. So they have to use their teleporter early, which now exposes them to being ulted on. Nice shot. I mean, it's just a crazy shot. Like, I mean, it's shy. Again, I don't understand. I just don't understand the Brig pick in this situation right now. I don't understand why you have a DPS go that aggressively and like there's not some sort of preparation there because like that fight could have been so much cleaner. Regardless, whatever. Huge shot from China. You have the space now that you need. You have Nano, you have Doomul, you have Rally. They're able to, this is a good job from KSA. They lose a lot of off angles here, but being able to stop the cart from underneath without peeking it is pretty good. But see, even this is just not, it's really not that good from China. It just really isn't that good. Like, it works, but it's not great. Like, you look at this here, chat, you should, Monk, it's so bad that Monk has to drop for this. And also, Leave should really, really not be here. Leave should be pinching from behind. And this is the kind of the little things from China that just didn't look, it wasn't clean. It wasn't clean. Like, this is fine. Like, it's an AoE Doom Punch. Like, of course it's going to work. You know, it's a Nano Slam and it's a like, but it's just, it's not clean. Like, a slightly better team is able to fully disengage that. Because you're able to absorb the punch, lamp, then TP out quickly. So China's showing, and I really don't think it was necessarily like an understanding diff. I just don't think China was on their A game today. And then like stuff like this, like Gushui almost freaking dies to that. Like, that's crazy. And then look at this fight play from KSA. You guys want to see something absolutely delicious? KSA feeds, drops right into the middle here. Usually focuses him out, forces him out. They use full CDs. And then they TP pincer window, combination with flux, because there's no punch anymore, right? To cancel it. I mean, guys. I mean, talk about fight plans. I mean, talk about fight plans, guys. This is next level from KSA right here. Check this out. Early CD, TP, flank window combo. Beautiful fight plan from KSA. So hard to read this one. And this is where you're using that Symmetra teleporter to make up for your lack of off angles, right? It's beautiful. It's so nice. Now this, yeah, you guys are catching it. This is just plain stupid from Gushui. Like, there is just no excuse for this. And this happened multiple times this series. Why the frick did Gushui ultimate there? Why on earth would you ultimate there? No way. No way. Like, that's a plat move right there. So they've been able to turn the corner here, which is nice. And again, I want to remind you guys that teleporter, honestly, teleporter doesn't even need to be ready here because it's just a blade. So you could just beat the blade and push. Early Bastion ult from Quartz. Again, it's just for a little bit of space. It's hard to use this ultimate and dive. It's not nearly well as executed as it has been in the past, sadly. But at least it buys a little bit of time. And this is just hubris. Like, he doesn't have his deflect. He just doesn't have his deflect. He takes a full volley from KSA, and he just takes a couple of shots, and that's it. You can't do that. Like, I know a lot of people were scapegoating Leave, and he deserves a lot of the criticism. But I think, like, I just want to point out that, like, as bad as that was, like, Shy tossed an entire round. Gushui freaking wastes his ultimate. Langsa has done error. And even Monk has had some issues as well. So this is just, that's plat Genji stuff. You don't have your deflect, and you're standing out in the open, you can't do that. I think one China win traded. The real win traders were China all along, guys. I knew it. Western propaganda. Again, like, chat. I know we're worried about teleporter here. But what's the problem with what's on your screen? Obviously, him dropping was feeding. But where is Brig? Probably Kiriko. Probably Kiriko would be the play, I think. Where is Brig? If you have Shy playing this aggressively in the angle, you cannot do that without pocket. And why? And yeah, I don't know why he got that close. To be honest, this is where the most obvious answer is mental, just busted. They're choking. They're nervous. So yeah, huge nade from Monk, like monstrous nade. But China really has to dump the kitchen sink at this one. I will say one thing that KSA does that I do not like. Can you guys spot them? What's the ult mistake here? One team makes a really, really bad mistake with the ultimates that they use. Check it out. See if you guys can find the person that makes the mistake. Let's check your game sense here. Know the situation with the ults right now, and then read the mistake. So the blade is just poorly executed and poorly followed up on. There's a bit of a miscommunication, and so Leave bails too early. That's not the problem, though. Yes, the wall was terrible. You should never, ever, ever sim wall into Nanoblade. Ever. Because you're going to end up having to stack ultimates. You should beat the Nanoblade, and then, if anything, you should sim wall now. So then you have a fresh sim wall, and then you're able to totally block off all the damage that you need to worry about. If KSA had sim wall now, they win this fight. So I think the blade from Leave, there's some sort of miscommunication with China. Like, that blade was terrible. Even into the beat, like, there needed to be more value than that. So the execution of the blade, something went wrong. But the wall was really, really bad. So yeah.
This is, now you have complete control.
You just shouldn't stack. Like, you don't want redundant ultimates. You can beat, like, you guys noticed when we talked about like the flux window. You guys saw the TP, the flux window. The reason why that was okay is because you knew that the flux alone, when they had rally, wouldn't do the job. So you needed something that pulled them in the air and then you could shoot them, right? But Simwall and Beat kind of do the same thing. The same thing as using Simwall, like they zone or they control space. So you don't want ultimates to do the same thing. The Beat is in response to Blade. Yeah, they need to try to and you guys are also need to remember that Nano Blade usually, when executed well, counters Beat. Not always, but when in a good coordinated team environment, Beat is not a consistent counter to Nano Blade. Baptiste is too easy to kill. Bastion even is too easy to kill because if you can get 4 or 5 chops with team follow-up, it will get you a kill. It won't be a team wipe, but it will get you a kill. And so what we've seen is too many Nano Blades that are getting countered by Beats, and I don't know why. I think the coordination, I mean, for that one, for example, but I will say that one, part of the reason why that one didn't work is because freaking Shy was dead. Not counters, overcome speed. That's a better term, yeah. And especially when you have the threat of Doomfist Punch. Yeah, I mean, this is just a lot of China's blades have been 4v5 before, like they had so many feeds, and then they're like, oh, we need a Nano Blade, and then there's the Beat, and then, yeah, there's just no follow-up.
Control of the game. Under 3 minutes, they're going to need to win.
I mean, this is unbelievably good for KSA right now.
Is the team from China, so if you're KSA, you can play pretty patient.
Creation, no connection. Rally up here for the team for China. Joshua, again, this is dangerous. He can't do this for long. Eventually, the damage gets too much. So we have a rally. The team for China trying to go for it now. Joshua says, beam me up.
So let's talk about this one. This one is a tricky fight. So you're going to see Ana Sojourn on the angle, Brig on the angle, Symmetra. Symmetra gets caught a little bit on the front line. He sees Punch, he sees Bash, so he pulls out the ultimate. Brig dodges it. This is a bit of a mistake from KSA. He needs to focus the Brig here, not the Doom. I think it's unfortunate. But yeah, even that though is not the end of the world. This is actually a really well coordinated dive from. Okay, can we just appreciate the fact that like China has actually dove here? Doomfist, Brig, flank nade with Genji, Sojourn, and it actually works. Like China actually sets up a really nice dive here. You got to give credit where credit's due, and it does force another ultimate out.
That's 2 fights in a row for the team from China. They're going to need more.
So it's unfortunate for KSA, but it's not the end of the world. Like that fight was always going to be hard to win, and the fact that you forced out both the Doom ult and the rally is not the end of the world.
Distance, force a game 5.
Victory here for the team from China would rank amongst the biggest comebacks we've likely seen on Esperanca. And this is the first step. Checkpoint achieved.
China's playing top. They're going to try and play this slow. They need to kind of farm this Nano Blade here. They'll probably wait till the cart turns. Now, this is wild. You guys ready for one of the wildest moments of this entire series? Check this one out. I'm going to let it play out, and then we're going to talk about it slowly afterwards.
Beat for it. He even used it on the blade.
That's due to the disruption. The Saudi Arabia split themselves up trying to get into the TP, but Joshua overstays his welcome. The assault configuration for Quartz means he is on a hard timer. Here's lead with the Nano Blade now. Looking at KSA. He's being topped up, but not enough. The sound barrier doesn't save him. Ultimately, it's just the trade, though. And Marget's still standing. Monk can't get away.
That was just a bizarre fight. So let's talk about this. KSA wants the TP top. China knows this, and so they're going to punch TP. However, problem is that KSAA and Yubi, I think, maybe not even Yubi actually. Who makes it? Haku doesn't make it. Magic doesn't make it. Yeah, so KSA and Yubi take the teleporter up to top. They make it, which is why they're naded. So these guys are solo zoning off the backline right now. Now, if you guys want to see really something funny that I do not understand, to be frank with you guys. Leave goes on the flank. Check this out. You guys want to see something funny? Leave goes on the flank right here. And my brother is in there from the back line, pincering off the teleporter, which, if they can cancel the teleport, is really good. And as we saw, they did. They didn't stop the Sigma from teleporting, or the Symmetra from teleporting, but that's not the end of the world. It's okay. So first off, yes, the Nano had to come out. The Nano does not come out. Monk is under a little bit too much pressure. I think even a Nano on Lengsa here would have been fine. Ladies and gentlemen, Overwatch. The funny part, though, is that Leave, I think, thinks they take teleport and just freaking leaves. He walks away at full HP. He freaking leaves. He walks away. He literally has everybody 1 HP, shooting them in the back, his Doomfist ending, and he walks away. He literally walks away. And so you're like, how on earth does KS? Well, this is why. He literally walks away. I might have to check this out here. I don't know how they got the POVs, honestly. As far as I know, the World Cup, the replay viewer isn't available. But chat, we're going to have to check this out really fast here because I want to see. Does anyone read Chinese? Is there a way to increase the quality here, or is this it? Maybe not. All right, guys, let's see it. You have to register. Okay. Well, I'll pass on that. Why? He just walks away. He has his deflect still. Full HP. He walks away. He walks away. Oh, he could have bladed it. They could have nanoed it. They could have just sat there and thrown shurikens. He just leaves. And he doesn't need... he could at least stay for more shuriken throws because of deflect. The deflect duration is such that he could deflect out and wall climb out to clear safety. He could have stayed. He should have stayed. He doesn't even need to stay in, like commit. He just needs to stand right here on this corner, right here in this pixel, and just throw shurikens, throw shurikens, throw shurikens, throw shurikens. They look at him, he deflects, Sim Beam won't be able to charge up in time, he walks out. Huge miscommunication / misunderstanding. And it's a big issue. So now, in addition to that, let's also not forget that Gushui kind of ends. Just Gushui hears the voices. Because the slam in punches, he commits all of his CDs. And this is the Bastion mistake that we talked about, where Doomfist will never die this composition unless he feeds, and he kind of feeds here.
No blade. They've also been saving that beat for it to even use.
Where I think really here, he probably he's trying to save slam so that he could follow up top, but he commits the slam here instead of just backing out. And then, yeah, it's just so much greed here. There's a lot of ways that they could have played this fight differently. And then Monk just doesn't use the nano. And so he commits the nano, but Lengsa, it should have been on Lengsa. Lengsa is nanoed, Lengsa lives. Langsa lives, and they trade this cleanly. Because Yubi dies either way, and honestly, they probably could have committed and won the fight. Great peel from KSA. Great peel from KSA to win that one out. But, oh my gosh, this KSA crapped the bed. Now, get ready, chat, because you thought that was a choke? We're going to keep going. Why would he even leave back out there if they TP'd? I don't know. I don't know, Unbound. I think he got gun shy. I have no idea. Huge rock from KSA. Kind of kills the momentum there. He still has punch, though. KSA is just happy to just mark this. Now, if I'm going to be honest with you guys here, I do think Yubi should have pressed Q here. I think this is a nice neutral. You have space. You can cause enough chaos. So if you press Q here with your sim wall, you're going to be able to win this fight. Or at the very least, I mean, honestly, you might just win this fight. Because it's going to counter Shy's ultimate. I don't think you need to wait for Shy to press Q here. I think you can just press Q. So I think this was not, this was a mistake from Yubi. This was a huge problem in the Finland game when Sauna, I love the guy to death, just would not press Q on Symmetra. And so they kept, and this is the perfect situation to use Simwall early, because Simwall gets countered by Nano Doom, it gets countered by Rally, it gets countered by Blade, but it's a freaking good ultimate versus everything else. And this is exactly what it counters. But you don't even need to wait for it to come out. You could just use it, get the advantage now, and go. So this is a situation where, like, Shy slides on an off angle, gets the pocket from Langsa, which is exactly what we want to see, and gets the kill. And that just hurts. You know, that should not happen. Now, this is, again, the China hubris, though. Like, I won't even say hubris. I would say the panic. You have perfect map control. Everybody's nice and healthy. You're up one. And we pop ultimate here. And I remember watching this and being like, I think Saudi Arabia's just won the map. So it's scary for Saudi. They should have pressed Q there. However, the fact that he used ult there while up one with perfect space control is a big deal. Now, again, I'm out here like sitting in my comfy clothes being like, they shouldn't have pressed Q there. But it's freaking last fight. China has to win this fight. And so there's always a little bit of pressure there. And so you generally see that to be safe. So it's not necessarily a mistake from Shy, I would say. Now get ready, chat. We're about to see a nice juicy choke. I do not agree with this ultimate here. I do not agree with this sim wall here. You sim wall when you have a position where you can actually push something. They're going to sim wall and then BAP window. It's, again, stacking two ultimates that do the exact same thing. And or have anti-synergy, where the BAP window is more of a hold, take an angle. Sim wall is more of a push, but the BAP window doesn't want people to push. So this is not good. Not good from KSA right here. And then they're going to catch the ultimate with the rally, and Yubi is now screwed. And then Haku just gets freaking destroyed. So Haku goes up in here, and check this boop out. He boops Gushui in, then gets punched and absolutely rolled. And this is, again, though, where just a little bit of panic from China kicks in. They're up one again. They nano Langsa. I'm honestly... Okay, to be fair, he was pretty low. I'll give credit. He was pretty low. So maybe not the end. But this is where, in theory, it should be GG's. Nah, dude, I don't want to go over the USA games, bro. I like, with all due respect to the USA team, the players are great. There's some ugly execution. I would prefer to not look at USA games. Easy to say that they should have saved Nano when Langsa was pretty low there. But yeah. I think this fight is really hard to win either way for China. Even with Nano Blade, You have beat, you have flux, you can throw literally everything at the blade and one kill and it's over. Yeah, it wasn't good. Have I looked at the Finland games? No. I watched them live on stream and I was very impressed. I thought Finland was easily like, I think Hadi said it and I agree. Any team that finished top 4 was one good day or good game away from being number 1. China, Korea, Finland, KSA, really anybody's game. All 4 of them deserved it. There's the Doomfist engage. There's the Blade. They're trying to focus beat. Yeah, so they got what they wanted. So this is smart from China. They know they can't go deep because beat. So they go in hard. He's trying to maybe Ajax the Lucio or scare the Lucio. But the Genji's only going for KSA. You see this? So then all they need to do, the problem here is that Monk just could not get caught in the flux. This is the problem here. Or Brig or somebody. Yeah, I don't even know where. No, so it wasn't Monk. Lengsa gets caught, which is unfortunate. But I really think Monk just got a little bit close, and Yubi goes with a crazy backline trade. See Yubi on the flank here and catches the Ana. So Monk gets too close and then dies because he gets too close. So the supports there, I just think needed to play it differently. I think Lee played it fine. I think Gouche played it fine. I think probably even Shy played it fine. But supports had to try and big brain KSAA. Why was the USA so bad for me? I mean, it's just they weren't that good. They're just like a top 8 team. Like, why would I review a top 8 team just because it's USA? You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't review Australia necessarily, not because they're bad, just because they're just not as good as some of the other teams. So like, I think Anna Brig tried to hold in the room to dodge flux. Yeah, but even then it's tricky because it's easier for them to beat push you. Am I Australian? No, I'm not Australian. I just don't think USA was that good. People were expecting high of USA. Yeah, but USA has a history of choking, and I'm not convinced that they were like as well prepared as these other teams. So I just don't know. These teams, like even Finland, who didn't necessarily, besides Vistola, they didn't have like the best players. I just think there was so much more. I think Cloud and Vistola were really good. I think Masa had his moments, but like they're just way better prepared. They're just better teams, you know. I just don't think America was prepared. I think they also have a history of choking. A lot of those players do, and yeah, I mean, it was just not it. I think UK did about as well as you could expect. To be honest, I think UK did fine. Yeah, they roll in scrims. See, here's the thing with the scrim bucks. You guys want to talk about USA scrim bucks? All right. You can pop off mechanically in scrims all you'd like. But if you don't have a basic system, even just a very, very basic system that you can carry over and take, whether it's discipline or old economy or old fight planning or anything, or a basic understanding that you could take into a match, when the stage lights are bright and you don't have a basic system to fall back onto, then you're not going to perform. You're not going to perform. You know, it's fine to be American Tornado and, you know, screwing around and like just having crazy mechanical players and just like calling stuff. But if you can't do that, can't match that same level of energy in matches, then you are not that good. You're not that good. You're not that guy. That's it. Your measure of skill is how you perform in matches, not on one day, because anybody can have a bad day. But this has been a consistent problem with many of those players. And yeah, exactly. It wasn't even like one bad match. Every match that America played, they looked outclassed. Even against France, they struggled on France. They struggled versus France. So I love the guys. Some of those guys are friends of mine. You know, and I don't think it's necessarily a team-wide issue, but they just were not prepared. They were not prepared. So that's it. And that's also been been a consistent theme with the American teams and a lot of those players, is that they don't put in the same amount of preparation that a lot of the other teams do. And so you either show up, you have that confidence, you have that mechanical energy, that alpha chat energy, and you do great, or you don't and you lose. And you know, that a lot recently it's been a lot more losing and a lot more winning. And I've worked with enough of Western players to know like the difference. European players tend to overthink things, over strategize. They tend to like get in their own way. American players do the opposite. They both have the upsides, they both have the downsides, but America's weakness was front and center. So I just don't think the preparation was there. Yeah. So, you know, they were better teams, easily better teams. That's it. What was different for 2019 though? Different players, different leadership, different roster. I think you could probably argue, I don't remember the timing of things, but there might have been more time to prepare as well. But like, I don't look at that roster and think that like they were spending a lot of time going crazy with preparations or VOD review or anything like that. So, you know, it is what it is. And it's totally, yeah, I mean, totally different players too. So it's like, it's apples and oranges, really. I think with over the last 2.5 years, I think it's time for American players, Western players in general, to realize that we can't cheat the system. We actually have to prepare. We actually have to VOD review. We actually have to communicate. We actually have to work on being, you know, building our mental, building ourselves. We can't be whiny degens. That is the American tornado strategy that worked in 2019 and 2020. It doesn't work anymore. The game has moved on. You're not the mechanical warlord that you were before. It doesn't work anymore. You can't do that. And to be honest with you guys, that has never been like the righteous way of doing things, but it's worked because those players are really, really quite good. But they've not been able to leverage the same thing, so it doesn't work. So, you know, you have to be continually developing, and that doesn't work. It only works to a certain extent, in my opinion. I think the cockiness is more of just like part of the flavor. Like I think like when we're talking about this, I'm not talking about like the social media cockiness, like hide and trash talking. That's just part of the fun. It's just being a heel. You know, that's a sport specific fun thing. I don't think that's really correlated. But you know, you got to put the work in. You know, you got to put the work in, and you got to put the smart work in, and you got to put the VOD review in, and you got to study, and you got to prep, and you got to have a basic system, and you got to work in competitive mentality. You know, and again, it's not like people are taking the World Cup that seriously, to be clear, but these teams were, some of the teams that were taking it more seriously, like Finland, they did better. That's just it. Yeah. Everyone's cracked, right? Like everybody's cracked. Like, so you can't be treated specially. I also think that like no commentary on Gator, because I don't think anybody can take a team in like 2 weeks and like turn a team around, or even a week, even less. Like that's not possible. Coach doesn't make that big of an impact. But I also think that like, I guess speaking largely as a whole, and like the contenders and like I'm really just even going back into 2020 and 2021 and 2019, I think the coaching scene in America was really bad, like really bad. I think the overall American Western coaching scene was like really weak in comparison to Korea, and even in comparison to Europe. I think the coaches were way, way, way better, way more knowledgeable, way more likely to actually lead things. Western coaching scene, America specifically, has always been like a giant like social club, basically, where there's not a lot of coaching, not a lot of leadership, a lot of buddy being friends with so-and-so. Even a couple of coaches in OWL, I won't say who, they're morons. They don't know what they're talking about at all. They have no understanding of the game sense. They have no understanding of macro. They don't know how to communicate well. They're not very good at like leading or bringing together the team. They're just there because nobody necessarily this season, I'm not going to say names, but in years past, they're just ornamental coaches that were friends with players, and they don't know what they're doing. You don't have to be a strategic genius, but you do have to know how to communicate and lead. And the American coaching scene has been really bad at developing player talent for a long time, I think. I just think it's been way too much of it's not like not a meritocracy. What do they say? It's like a buddy system. Bro, there were contenders teams that I was trialing with back in 2020 and 2021, maybe even earlier, that didn't like me because they're not didn't like me. They just didn't want to coach. They literally did not want to coach. They didn't want any sort of feedback. They never VOD reviewed it. Never VOD reviewed. Bro, there was a freaking Overwatch League team last season that almost never VOD reviewed. So it's like when you're like that, I'm sorry, like you're just gonna fail. And the problem is that you have a lot of like young. Okay, we're going on a tangent here, but there's a lot of young guys that they don't need like a big boss. Like, don't get that impression at all either. They don't have like a lot of leadership. They don't have a lot of good examples. They don't have like people pushing them, even in a little way, or and so they just totally get away with being a degen for years until it finally bites them in the butt. It wasn't Shengdu. Nah, don't make this about Gator. Like I don't know jack all about Gator, and it really wasn't about Gator either necessarily. Like there's nothing that Gator could do in a week. So I don't know. No, it wasn't Defiant. I think Kasaurus is somebody that I think applies himself pretty well. I'm not familiar as much with his coaching style, but he's a friend of mine and he's a good guy. So it's not Kasaurus. Now, Kasaurus might have had a hard time working with some of those guys in terms of like making them the work, but you also can't second guess Kasaurus, because Kasaurus made moves. When it didn't work, the American Tornado gamble, Kasaurus made moves and they looked a lot better at the end of the season. So like I think you got to give credit to Kasaurus when credit is due. But yeah, there's a lot of coaches out there that have been in the scene that just have no business whatsoever. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know how to communicate. They're still using terminology from like 2019 macro. Yeah, so it annoys me because it's like the number of players that are kind of getting not screwed over because they could take ownership of it as well, but like they just don't have like good leadership or good examples. I don't know. It annoys me. How transferable traditional sports coaching skills to esports coaching? Very transferable. The only thing that you have to be careful with traditional sports coaching is you can't push quite as hard, can't be quite as it's the structure of like, especially these contenders teams where you really aren't the boss. You're just so you can't like make roster decisions like you would with normal sports. But at the same time, don't get me wrong, guys. This is not at all about like the coach tells you what to do. Like I am totally against a lot of that, to the point where me and Christopher have a lot of like differing opinions on that. Right? Christopher is to the opposite end of the extreme. I don't agree with his takes necessarily. Although I do think he's a great coach. I really respect what he's done. But I think you have to be able to but encourage and build an environment where like players are developing and reviewing and improving and pushing themselves and communicating and having a base system that when in the stress of the match, you could fall back on that system and building confidence. And there isn't a lot of that. I don't do league coaching anymore because I don't want to be a degen anymore. Like Overwatch League coaching was like the most, like just contenders coaching too. Very stressful, a lot of hours, garbage pay. And I wasn't willing to relocate by myself and live with a bunch of guys for 8 months. So yeah, it wasn't good for my health. Do you think coaches need to be really good at the game coach? No. How do you develop yourself as a coach? Practice. What made me so much better than everybody else in contenders at the time, I'm not saying I'm the greatest of all time at all, of course, duh, right? But what allowed me to develop from some random crappy plat team coach into Overwatch League is because I grinded so hard at studying the game and communication and getting feedback from players and making stupid roster decisions and admitting my mistakes and apologizing to players and building teams and trialing and talking with other coaches. I remember I would, in the off season, I would meet with like 20 different coaches and take notes on what they did and what they thought of things. And I would reach out to everybody and get feedback. And I'd ask my players about what I needed to be doing better. And I did this for years. And I read books on player management and psychology. And no, people don't do that, bro. And it's such a shame. It's such a shame. Like, I think like if you're not working, and all they did was they'd sit there in scrims, half AFK, tapping on their phone and write up like the most bare bones communication or like feedback, if even that. And, and then they'd study VODs for hours because they wanted to flex how long they worked. And, yeah. I think you can maintain sane, healthy working hours, but the problem is that you have to be the head coach to make that happen. And I think to make that happen takes a lot of guts. And I don't think anybody in the Overwatch League has the combination of guts / knowledge to make the minimal hours strategy work. You get what I'm saying? Like the 2 blocks a day, short review, no triple blocks, efficient VOD review, efficient feedback, pushing people really, really hard, getting players involved. That takes guts and that takes knowledge. You got to be smart and you got to be willing to risk things. The player, because people are always going to think, oh, you should be working hard. You should be working harder. And I don't think anybody's had that opportunity. What books would you recommend for coaches? Oh crap! I had a list. Here's your list. I might be able to dig it up really fast. So many books. Hang on. Okay, ready for this? The Art of Learning, Conscious Coaching, Everyone's a Coach is a niche one by Don Shula. Anything from John Wooden. Anything on sports psychology is good to know. Including, I read a textbook called Introductory to Learning and Behavior. It was really good. Legacy by the All Blacks, Mind Without Mind. Phil Jackson, 11 Rings. Anything on Phil Jackson's good. Peak, The Science of Expertise. Turn Your Ship Around. I think are all good. Yeah. One of my YouTube videos has a list. Those are just several of them. But it's not just enough to read books though. You have to actually apply this stuff, actually try to apply this stuff and I don't know. I'm grateful because I worked my butt cheeks off for years to get to where I was. And that is one thing I have a big ego about. I don't give a rip. I'm not going to sit here and be fake humble. I worked so much harder and I got no breaks at all for the position that I was at. And obviously, it's not like we won the Overwatch League. It's not like I was in the league for 4 years and dominated. But I am very grateful that I was able to get the position. I was able to get the opportunity. And I'm also very grateful that because everything that I do right now, content-wise and YouTube, would not have been possible without that grind. So it was not wasted time. I learned so much from that, about even myself, right? I think there's a lot of crossover between Overwatch and anything, to be honest with you. The more I've gotten into sports, even the sports before Overwatch and then after Overwatch, the more I realize that anything competitive has carryover. But yeah, anyway, long segue to go that yes, and America did not deserve to win. I feel bad for the players, but it's time to apply yourself to the same standards as everybody else. So no, you're good, Strats. You're good, Strats. It was a good question. And again, no hate to the American players or American staff or anything like that. I'm talking very broadly, generally, not even this year, just years past. It's been a big issue. There's just a lot of people in the scene that I don't have a lot of respect for. Not because I don't think they're very good at their job, but because I don't think they're very good at their job and they don't put any effort into it. And it's hard for me to respect somebody who does that, right? There's too many people out there sweating their butt off, and because I was one of those people that just because they don't know people, don't get those same opportunities, right? And I think especially in years past, that was an issue, and I think that's very, very unfair. And that makes me very sad. Makes me very sad. I got screwed over by freaking Avala back in 2020, and I'm still bitter about it to this day. But that's just the one I'm allowed to be public about. I won't even tell you guys about that trial. That was a joke. But yeah, it was ugly. Anyway. All right, y'all. Shy back on the Hanzo. Pretty good in this map. I think Sojourn would have been reasonable as well. Maybe a little bit less space for the Hanzo. Ooh. This is the kind of stuff that... I don't even know. What even happens here? Does he just not have his deflect? I think he just greeds a little bit, or like, because Linksa should be there to pocket, but maybe Linksa pushes up. Like, it's just a good mechanical play. Like, you know, like people talk about like Lee feeding first fight, and I agree. There's a lot of times, but it's also like, you know, it's just a good play. It's just a good play, and that's a good nade from Monk in response. Yeah, Jane was a fun content creator. Jane is what I aspire to be in terms of like building community. I don't think like it's an ego check to pretend that like to say that I have better like a game brain than Jane. I think that's I don't think that's unreasonable to say. But Jane was really freaking good, and I'm always like trying to learn from him about like how to like build a community and how to make things fun, you know. And I think that he was just so good at that, and I think the community is, you know, has definitely missed him. You know what I'm saying? I hope he's doing all right. He was just really good at what he did, you know? And that's like that's the Doomfist power right there. Like the Nano Doom, if he does not respond quickly with that TP, he gets punched out and he's freaking dead. And all the angle control from China is like actually crazy. I think this is where I was like criticizing Saudi just a little bit for playing it almost a little too safe. Like I felt like Saudi needed to try and take a few more risks, because I think like when China is firing in all cylinders, you just are not going to be able to peel. Like you're just not going to be able to peel. You have to try and trade. You have to force some chaos. You have to try and like, you're playing double flex, right? So you have to kind of create a little bit of that chaos. And I just don't think Saudi Arabia did as good of a job at points in this map.
No immortality field here, so if there is a big rabbinic flux, it's very hard for the team for China to counter. UB wants the TP away here, the rest of the team going to be left upon though.
Like, yeah, it's just rough. Like, you see how grouped up KSA is. Like, I get that they TP at least one person out, but it's just too easy. Like, it's too easy when everybody and their mother's all on that one stack. I think the Sim ult is actually okay. But, like, again, it's just so difficult for them to get value as well. I also am curious what happens to KSA's ult. I assume it gets stunned. Yeah, it gets stunned. I mean, Langsa pops the rally for it, which is not the end of the world for KSA, but, like it's the lack of like you need, like, it's hard to coach this comp, you know, like when it comes to like marking off angles and running, like you have to have some like level of creativity, and like more than that, you also need a lot of like for creativity to come out, you need to be comfortable in your shoes, right? And if you have to be, which means you need to be good at all of these characters. Lepta is not a good Baptiste. He's serviceable. He's done the job fine. He's a DPS player. He's not a freaking BAP player. And that's problematic, right? Even UB, right? Like you need to be like a almost sim OTP level of creative to make this work. You need to pull out some crazy shenanigans, right? Think about what Backbone was doing on the Symmetra in these Bastion mirrors in the Overwatch League clip. You need like that level of creativity / team play. And I think this is why this, like, I know I'm criticizing KSA and they win this map, but at points that's where KSA was struggling, is in situations like that, right? Like even now, like everyone's grouped up, we're forcing point, which is fine, but you need a little bit of creativity here, right? Like you need like an angle, like, or a TP or something. It's like all they're doing here is they're just stacking and they're forcing cart, and they're stacking and they're forcing cart, and I just don't think their composition is as good at that. Now they have a massive ult bank here. The pocket on the Shy is late. The blade from Leave, bad. I don't even know what happens there, to be honest with you. It just looks like he beefs the dash, like the HP. Like he just leaves. I don't know what Leave does there, to be honest with you. I don't know what the plan was there at all. And he dies for it. You think Gushui is the best Doom player? No, I don't think so. I think he's a very good Doomfist player. But I think we haven't seen enough Doomfists from other players to say that for sure. He might be the best active Doomfist player right now. So I guess that's probably correct, I guess, by that. So we're seeing a little bit of high ground control here from KSA, which is good. I think Dante is a phenomenal Doomfist. I just don't know if he's got that level. He's got that dog in him anymore, you know? Nano Doom. They absorb. He gets the Mega, though. Langsa catches Quartz, or Quartz catches Langsa, rather. I don't even know where Langsa was, so that's a bit of an error. And Nano is lost. I don't know. No. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. Nano and Gushue. Slam out to avoid rock. Nice shift from KSA. The slide punch is pretty bad. Flux. Huge Flux. Ooh, Monk barely misses that one. Vestola for Sigma. I would say KSA for total off tank. You know what I'm saying? Total tank. I think KSA is better. But Vestola for Sigma for sure. Winston swap because basically they've committed to this here, and there's a lot of space in this map to play around Bastion, even if they do make this Bastion. Leave on the flank. There's a good sim wall from Yubi. Well timed. There's good armor packs from Langsa. Huge pocket. Huge whip shot as well. But Gushue is getting absolutely melted on cart. App one is being used. 3 ults basically used. What's happening? Okay, here's what's happening. China's not winning these ult fights cleanly. You look back to this fight here, and do not tell me that in this Nano Doomfist ult fight into 0 ultimates, that China gets traded because Langsa just freaking dies. And then in addition to that, the Flux somehow catches an Ana. And because Langsa's dead, there's no peel. It's things like these that was killing China. Like absolutely butchering China. Like you go into these ults and you have 3 ults. Of course you're going to use all your ults if you're KSA. Of course you're going to use all your ults. Guaranteed, win the fight, man. Win the fight. Where was Leave that fight? I don't know. I tried looking. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Quartz thinks about Bastion, then he sees the Doomfist swap and is going to go right back to Sojourn. Leave left. Leaved. A little bit early for Majid there on that angle. I think that he would have been a little bit more patient there. Shy desperately needs support. That's going to force an early rally. I think a little early for Leave. Huge shot, though. So they win that fight. And that's okay, because now we still have Nanoblade. Why don't people play Bastion into Doom? Because Doomfist does really freaking well versus Bastion. Really easy to abuse and avoid Bastion as Doomfist. Okay, Genji is really good in this comp. Genji can control both supports, even though he can't necessarily kill them. He can kill them with follow-up. The ult's very powerful. He's able to control, contest high ground off angles better. Having a dive DPS to work with Doomfist is really, really helpful. Echo is an option, but Echo is really bad versus this backline. It's not great versus Sojourn either, but Tracer won't work, Sombra won't work. Genji is actually okay into this with support, with the Ana support, with the Brig support, with the Doom support. But this is the stuff that kept killing China so much. Like this should be a clean team fight win. Let's set up our Nanoblade. 3, 2, 1, dive. No, Majid just diffs Shy. Dink, dink. There's the Nanoblade. So the kill is there. The reaction's a little slow, but it's not clean. This is a situation when Shy needed to be building ult charge. And again, Leave dies. So there's more missed ult charge. They don't even kill the final person on the battlefield here. And this is what kept happening, right? Even in the fights where China was winning with ults, there were messy fights.
In the blade gun, you've got them to use everything. They're just kind of pooling KSA for these big fights.
Like, you should be getting cycles of ultimates. You kind of see what I'm saying? Like, you Nano Blade, and then you Doomfist into, you know, Dragon, and then you can rally, and then you Nano Blade, and it's not happening. Because the people are dying, they're not building additional ult charge. And sometimes they're just flat out losing. And then like that, for example, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be real with you guys. This should never happen. Never should that happen. Never. And you know why it happens? You know why this works? He sees punch. And I think it's Magid. I think I'm looking at the ult chart here. I think it's just Magid hits a shot. And that's it. Would leave on Sojourn have been okay? It would have been okay. Yeah, it would have been all right. But I mean, come on, guys. Like a rally, like how many times have we seen a Flux just Flux on and she just freaking dies? Very, very, very rarely. And yet, there it is. Now it's a huge pick from Shy.
How big is that? We look at the team from China, they have to use 2-3 ultimates to win these fights. You use just a Flux, you get 1 support. Now look at this, the potential for staggers.
Good stagger. Langsa needs to live. Surprised he didn't push Langsa there, honestly. Huge ult. I think the sim ult from Yubi is really late. Huge play by Monk. I don't know what I don't know, chat. I have no idea. I don't know. So we just got done complimenting Monk. I don't know what happened here. He just jumped. And to make matters worse, look at Langsa. So Langsa's coming back from spawn. You got me? Wait, no. Where is Langsa? Chat, where's Langsa? Where's Langsa, chat? Is he spawn? That's Shy. Just coming out right before jump, but he's taking damage right now. Wait. I think I found him. I think that's him there. So in the back line. So Langsa's backline here with a leave. I don't even know what he dies to, chat. I think he just drops behind. I think he's behind Monk. And just dies. They show it later? Okay. But it's a really bad play from Langsa and Monk, who have a massive advantage. They can play for time. There's no rush. And need a 3-2-1 drop on Yubi, and the game is over. And Langsa and Monk just feed. And Yubi dies so late. Oh, it's a not. Thunder. Chat, should I say both just to mess with them? Should I say both?
Where it looks like that. Not only
All right, I got to see this. What happens? So Monk, Yeah, so Lengths is behind Monk.
Towards the end of the round, mind you.
I just like, oh, wait, what even is chasing them? Is it Quartz?
Mind you.
Yeah, they like run from Quartz, but I don't understand why. There's two of them.
That is like a pixel over.
Mind you.
But he wasn't even overclocking.
Okay.
He's 92%.
Towards the end of the round, mind you.
He doesn't overclock until they're dead. I don't know. So let's be very clear. Again, the reason I'm pointing this out is not because Monk and Lynx are so bad that they game literally the worst. No, these guys are on freaks, the best in the world. But they're choking. Choking.
At the start of some of
Choke.
the rounds with the composition that they want to play. They want to play distance. They want to play range. As Shy, manning the Hanzo yet again.
Still going for it.
No way you drop there. No way.
When he gets those picks,
No way you drop into Sigma.
when he gets shut down or dove or forced away, not so much. Very defensive setup in that high ground. Lee figuring that out just now with those 3 turrets tickling at him.
Nice little soft dive there. They're going to be able to push the cart from that.
With the Doomfist here.
Langsa can honestly play underneath, I think, as long as he saves Bash and has on LOS.
Entry into that choke, right?
I mean, GG's Shy. GG's Shy.
Right.
Check this out, y'all.
Some of these players like entry into that choke, right? Oh, what a prediction.
Get rolled.
Sweep the leg.
Absolutely wasted.
Great accretion now from KSA. Getting rid of the biggest threat in a long fight in the Hanzo.
And Shy is going to go, all right, screw this. And that's exactly what we talked about. Hanzo can do so much, but as soon as you start controlling him, you got to go Sojourn.
Accretion and Shy already done. Gonna go to the Sojourn.
What controls Sigma in their comp? You're basically free to do whatever you want.
You can't count
But the problem is that especially when you reach like second point, it's really, really hard to, it's easy to avoid him. Let's put it that way.
Doesn't take too much of a risk to do so either.
Ooh.
Keeping him honest here. Very quickly he'll be given 1 heal pack. And there goes Goose Ray to the high.
And Leaf freaking dies. Where the frick is Leaf? I mean, it's just a timing issue. So it's a timing issue, and it's a great shot by UB. Well, so watch this, guys. Watch this. So dash from Genji first onto Quartz. So he's already half HP before he even dashes in. Check this out. So he's already taking damage. He dashes in. He gets packed. But because he's ahead of his Winston and he doesn't deflect in time, UB from this angle here launches the mother of all right clicks and completely wrecks him.
And there goes Goose Ray to the high ground, but UB intercepts Lee. KSA still a problem. He hasn't been shifted off that high ground. At least Shy makes it honest.
Mid-fight Nano, huge shot by Shy though, and it's just Shy things, right?
Shy is hitting.
Questionable window.
Yeah, Zlot just gonna use that ant matrix, but I think it's
So Shy doing Shy things.
KSA and Quartz up on the
And I think on this point, Sojourn probably, this map, I think Sojourn going to be better all the way through.
China taking that you do. The Bastion
What separates one Sigma from another? Game sense, decision-making, positioning. And to be honest with you, there is definitely a mechanical gap. Even just in the Sigmas in this series. Pistola was easily the best mechanical Sigma in this series. Like, noticeably so. Even over somebody like KSAA, who's really, really quite good at Sigma.
That's a scary prospect. Here's a TP play.
Like, there is 100, even in Overwatch League, there's 100% mechanical gap on every character. I don't think there's almost any character that there's not a very clear best or worst, with very few exceptions. He's better than Poco. Poco is great at Sigma, but Vestal is better than Poco.
Shy gets on out.
Questionable Flux.
Left-hand side of screen.
You got to hold that because the slide will come out and then you can Flux afterwards. So that's not a great Flux from KSAA.
Gets on out.
Doge.
Left-hand side of screen. Shy gets on out.
Doge is a good dude, but I'm not taking Doge on Sigma, y'all.
Goose Ray now to the high ground.
Rally Blade, very early, but it works. The Ana's on cart, so you got to be really careful. Oh, clean.
The team for China won't be denied.
Not the end of the world for KSA. Again, 2 really crucial ultimates used there. The question is, are they going to be able to walk out of the choke? Best Batiste. That one's harder. I haven't watched enough POVs.
She'll have another fight here for KSA as Shy gets really
Someone, no. Someone not even close. Someone's not even the top 10 of best Sigmas in the world. at least in terms of mechanics.
Right, look for him to like pop that, pre-fire it potentially.
Again, that TP to get across here. Captive stun for Symmetra.
Potentially.
Again, that TP to get across.
Now, this is where the TP is super busted. Because this choke is nasty, TP out, beautiful. Iliari ultimate's used.
Captive stun for Symmetra. Shy might be
Pretty nice on Shy there, like we'll take that, right? Just a little bit of chokage.
stun for Symmetra.
And then
Might be good enough.
Primal and a huge nade. And that's going to be a kill. I mean, this is how ult fights should go. You're like, what? They use 2 ultimates. They also use 2 ultimates. Doesn't matter. Dive ultimates are better. It was a nice try, but it wasn't enough.
Another gear for the team from China.
Someone is not even close to the best Sigma in the world. Someone is a great tank player, and because he is able to play so many tanks to a top 10 level-ish. But he ain't anywhere close to Sigma. Is Winston, Reinhardt, top 5, I would say. Maybe he was Symmetra as well, but not Sigma.
Got you a 4-minute time bank. You've got to be happy with that. Up goes Goose Wake here, knocking KSA back. Another pick and Shy.
Oh, Shy, man. I don't even know where Shy was.
4-minute time bank. You've got to be happy with that.
Shy was underneath. And then somebody drops. I think Lebda just drops, and Shy just rails him at point blank range. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Shy is just having his way.
For the team from China.
Is this the right move? No. But I think what KSA is doing is, first off, they have the Bastion, so they have a little bit more brawl punching power, so they could, and they also, I think they're trying to force out another ultimate or take a quick fight. I don't think they want to play this, like, I think they want 2 fights here, so they're going quickly.
Got you a 4-minute time.
Have you seen Usama during World Cup? No.
Got to be happy with that.
Wait, Quartz swap. Oh, that's right. Quartz swapped the Bastion. We had overclock. That was silly. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. That was a huge throw. I forgot about that. That's a huge throw. I don't care if they're still in Winston. You have freaking overclock, and he's just gonna go back to Small and swap Doomfist anyway. You saw a tiny bit of Sombra actually.
Back another pick and Shy.
What match was it? You might be right. I assume you're right. Yeah.
As well. You couldn't write it any better for the team from China. They are going to keep the march going.
Oh, K-pop comp. Yeah,
Get rid of that TP. Prevent
that's right.
from closing the gap.
It was Circuit Royale. No, I forgot about that.
Through, but good progress.
Misses the shot. Nice little strafe there. Magic mechanical diff. And again,
Good progress already.
Genji on the nano. And it's just the most unfortunate timing in the world. And I will say,
Pressure here. Leave has the deflect, but holds on to it. And he gets
and this is the thing, is like, it just, it's just so unfortunate timing. Like, you can blame a little bit of mechanics here, and also maybe a little bit of timing here as well. Because it's like, Shy just needs to be a little bit more cautious here, right? But also, it's like, it's not even like it was that bad of a peak. But I just don't think he respects his HP enough. He needed to wait for him to fully regenerate. He needed an armor pack, or he needed, Inspire or something. So he peaks at 80 HP and he just freaking dies. Because this nano is okay. Like, maybe it's a little bit poorly timed with it, but Gushue is focusing the Sem.
relieved so much pressure here.
He's already on point blank range. I will also say Langsa freaking dies again. That's been a big issue too. This is a fine play from Leave. Like, this is a fine play from Leave. He's just getting 0 help because Shy died before the fight started, or re-peaking, and Langsa dies to Sigma. And Langsa should not be dying to Sigma. So if you're playing Brig and you're dying to Sigma, you're messing up. That's your mistake. Langsa just dies. He doesn't even get rocked. He just freaking dies.
Hoping he builds play, but he's nowhere. That Iliari made no.
So Leave gets screwed over this time. Leave gets screwed over. Leave does fine. Creates a lot of space and gets a kill.
Not over just yet. This is a really tough map to complete.
Try looking for
And yeah, I will say the Sigma feels pretty darn good here.
kill the lineup. A lot of sim turrets on the left side.
Boy.
Yo, hello! Thanks for the raid, mate. If you guys want the world's most famous, handsome, and competent Bastion player, you just found him. Thanks for the raid, mate. I appreciate it.
Please, Winston. It'll be Shy instead. Here's that blade. No mana that was used earlier on.
And again, this blade is like actually fine. So,
A lot of sim turrets on that left.
well, okay, let me look at this a little bit more carefully here. So they're gonna dash in. The punch on KSA, they know ultimates are gonna be used. They're just baiting resources, baiting ultimates. There's lamp, there's shift, there's 2 support ults, 1 deflected. But, bonk. dies. And you know what he freaking died to, ladies and gentlemen? Do you want to know what freaking Monk died to? Damage boosted Symmetra right click. And Leave is fixing to lose his mind. Leave played that one perfectly. You got exactly what you wanted out of that engage. Ult for 2 ults, and lamp, and cooldowns, and easy disengage. And then all you need to do is chill 2 seconds and push with either Rally, or Doom ult, or Sojourn ult, or whatever, and it's a cap. It's over. Mechanics. Mechanics. Ladies and gentlemen, mechanics. It keeps happening. China is not able to get these ultimate combos because KSA, whether it's Magic, Yubi, or KSA, or whatever, or Quartz, are hitting shots. Oh, bless me, that's scary. Now, this also annoyed me. I really, really wish to goodness that Brig had been with him here. But, you know, it is what it is. I mean, this is just a mess. This is just a giant, giant mess. Shy goes on an angle, gets no support, ends up messing up his timing as well. He goes a little early, gets no pocket from Langsa, and just freaking dies. I have no idea. Ridiculously cheap fight win for KSA. It's messy, but it does the job. Gushui again commits Doomfist ultimate in a questionable circumstance. And that's it. And so, again, another messy, messy fight. It's exactly what KSA wants. So now, surely, we're okay now. Surely, guys. Disaster. And you're like, why is it disaster? Why is it disaster, Spilo? Well, this is why it's disaster. Because Nano Doom has forced about 7 billion cooldowns, and yet, where is Shy? He peaks early, no Brig pocket, gets his resources forced, he's slid out, he's doing no damage at all. At all. I don't know where Leave is, so I will reserve judgment on that. But and now Rally committed. But, wait, did he get stunned? Oh, he got stunned again, didn't he? He got stunned again. Gushui is like trying so hard. But this is so much, and again, Langsa dies. Again, Langsa dies. Oh my gosh. It's so much messier. That should have been a 2 ult fight win, not 1, 2, 3 ult fight win.
And all of a sudden, the team trying to back up.
They're waiting for Langsa. They got to get Langsa back in here.
They get a measure of the situation, and here's that play. Captive Sun, no lead, can't chase the Iliari. He's up in the rafters, but Shy doesn't. Here's that play.
They're waiting for Langsa. They got to get Langsa back in here.
They get a measure of the situation, and here's that play. Captive Sun, no lead, can't chase the Iliari.
Labda gets naded. Wait, where's Shy? Shy's in the high ground there, right? Shy is 1 HP and not getting healed. Ah, man. I don't even know what Monk is looking at here. He's been 1 HP for like 6 years. The Brig's helping Genji on the off angle, but Yubi again on the flank just gets the kill, and that's all they need. That's all they need. It is, again, a very, very messy fight. The Diva swap just to touch cart quickly. Yeah, that was only the other map, sadly. It's just like it requires so much focus in these circumstances under this much pressure to be able to perform in China, and China is struggling. Oh. Yeah, so a little tidbit here. Jane Cater, thank you for the Jane Cater, thank you for the sub. This is where I think KSA lost a little bit of focus here. I think really they needed to take the time to try and push this top right into the Ana Brig. Or at least take some angles there, but then this gets really messy where Yubi kind of goes by himself and then both Suzu and TP are forced and then Quartz is kind of like left on his own and then it gets really messy. So kind of messy. Okay. So Cap here. Yeah, I mean, it's just basically every fight has been messy and it's really hurting the team that has to get a clean fight win. It's also hurting Old Economy as well. Yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you so much. I'm glad I was able to help. Appreciate the kind words, man. I appreciate the sub as well. Ooh, scary. Yeah, what happens to the leave here? I mean, yeah. Yeah, leave kind of ends this. Vaccinate, thanks for the sub, mate. I appreciate it. All right, we'll look at this death. I can already say that I don't like this dash from Leave because his Doom is not with him. And also the target that he's dashing really isn't that low. So you guys will see what I mean right here. Oops. So he's got this. He's controlling the angle here. Dash, deflect out. Okay. A little bit of greedy, but all right. Like, even that is just so sloppy. Like, he's just hoping that KSA doesn't hit that rock. And now his deflect is gone. And if any one of you has seen any of my Genji VODs, you know what I would tell any plat Genji what they need to do right now, right? Right? You know exactly what I would say here. No deflect, because you got it forced with bad positioning. So you cannot go aggressively here. You need to hold an angle and be patient, right? You can't do this. You can't do this. You don't have deflect. You can't do it. 100% Leave's fault there. 100%. You cannot do that without deflect. And is the worst part about it too is that his deflect wasn't even earned. It was just sloppy positioning too. Like, he didn't even go for like a play. He just died. And again, I don't know what happens to Lengsa here. My whole point is this. If Lengsa is dying this often to Symmetra TPs or dying to like just Sigma, then what's the point of playing Brig? What's the point? You haven't been pushing angles. You haven't been winning, helping your like at all in the TP stuff. Like, what's the point? You're dying anyway. You know? Yeah, I mean, it's just a theoretical. I know it's a comfort pick, 100%. But I guess looking at it, especially with the power of hindsight, it's, I thought it was going to look better than it did, but it hasn't really impressed me, y'all. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I agree the armor pack on TP is useful, 100%. But Life Weaver. I don't think Life Weaver would necessarily be better, but I don't think Linksa can play Kiriko, right, chat? It's just unfortunate. And this is where KSA really struggles. They get stuck in the choke. They know they're playing into Nano, so they try to make a clutch play happen, but Ushui will have none of it. It's a good play. It's just hard because when the first ult is nano, it's just a better ultimate in this situation than Iliari ultimate. So it's like it's hard. They had to make a play. I probably would have liked to seen something with like cute with TP there instead. No, I don't think Mercy would have worked. Mercy would have been too easy to lock down. Too easy for Quartz to farm.
You can kind of like sweep from side to side here. A early pick for KSA would be huge.
Might be over there, but look at that bio. What's
Huge bio nade from Monk, man. Huge. Magid on the angle. Magid's gonna get cleared a little bit. He jumps out.
first away? Douche is right up
He's able to keep his pylon. Aerodog, thanks for the sub, mate. I think Lucio would have been great if they weren't on Sojourn, or if they weren't on both Sojourn and Genji. Like if you had like a Tracer pick that I think like Lucio can work quite well. I think Houston should have been running Lucio more in the finals. But they're the Soldier, you know? I think a lot of times in the Overwatch League finals, I think Lucio would have fit better.
now. It's got a favor.
Yeah, he was just trying to force his ultimate really fast because they knew a nano engage was coming and they didn't have an answer for it. So they had to make some sort of chaos happen, right?
It's on the clock. Gotta go. Card still lumbering slowly, ponderously around the corner. But it's
Okay. What happens? I'm watching it, don't worry. Deflect is fine. Kiriko, I think, would be the best theoretically, I think. It's fine, it's fine. I don't think the timing of that was as good, but it's all right. Frick! Oh my gosh. There's no way, man. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. Mental boom, guys. Total panic. Total panic. No deflect, half HP, no Doomfist engaged, and my man is solo peeking. No way. This is worse than I thought it was. I thought he just got like sniped or something, but no, he is actively feeding. Actively feeding. How do I get player POV? Some random uploaded it and Billy B. I don't even know how you get access to the World Cup viewer. I don't think it's even through the Overwatch League team. I think maybe the World Cup players have it. Yo, Keys, no. All right. Being naughty. But yeah, that's just actively feeding. And again, like, is Leave a bad Genji? Heck no. The guy's great at Genji. It's just, you know, in the heat of the match, you know, like, tough.
still lumbering slowly.
You know, Leave is one of the better Genjis in the world, I would say. But just, you know,
Cords now has to go to the left hand.
that's rough.
Two healers up for China.
And that was just gifted. That wasn't even that great of a play, and that's it. Like, that is it. That wasn't even that great of a play. And I think that's what's kind of like disappointing for me is it's like, you know, I don't know. You know, give credit to KSA though. You know, they didn't fold as much as China did at crucial moments. And they also made the mechanical plays when it counted too. Like it wasn't just, oh, China choked. A lot of fights, it was just great plays from KSA.